In terms of what we've seen so far, I've seen a bunch of guys that have competed and been about the right things and about the process. We've had really great attendance for OTAs this year, so I think we're all really proud of that. Obviously, Clint's done a great job of keeping them engaged and energized at a time of the year where it's not real football, so I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I'm happy with the way they worked, with the way that the new guys have assimilated into what we're trying to build here and added to it, and same thing with the rookies.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
Aloha, aloha, aloha. It is Aloha Friday here on Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. We come into the sounds of the Raiders GM, John Spytek, talking about the rookies and what they've seen, and that's on Raiders.com. You can check that out, and make sure you check out Behind the Shield. Episode number 1 was dropped last night. Really good stuff. 30 minutes long, 30 minutes strong. You definitely want to check that out. Big shout out to Silver and Black Productions who put that bad boy together, and it was really, really good. Got a lot of people talking about it late last night. Also got a lot of folks talking about it even today. Heard the morning tailgate. Vince Sapienza and Vinny Bonsginore talking about it as well. So obviously it made a big impact on a lot of folks. So if you have not checked it out, I definitely encourage you to do so. Got my man Ari back in the Lotus Broadcasting Studios. I'm here on Studio Q, and again, it is an Aloha Friday brought to you by Zippy. So we're excited about the opportunity to be with you, as we always are. 3 hours long, 3 hours strong, start to finish here on today's show. Fired up, we've got my guy Vinny Bonsginore from the California Post and the Morning Tailgate. He'll join us at 2:30. We'll talk all things Raiders. We'll talk all things rookies. We'll talk about, where he feels like the team is right now as they're in their little bit of a break. And before they get ready for training camp, which will start up at July 28th. So obviously they've got, just a little bit over a month. And, then it'll be full throttle. Then it'll be time to go. So Vinny Bonsginore will join us coming up at 2:30. Look forward to that conversation. At 3 o'clock, really looking forward to this conversation. I'm always fired up about every conversation we have, especially with you at 702-365-9200. But this one's really going to be a good one. Dave Bartoo, Matrix Analytic. I've been rocking with him for a long time, going all the way back to my time at ESPN Central Texas. We used to always have him on the show to talk college football from an analytical point of view. So what he's going to do, and we've been going back and forth now for probably about 4 or 5 weeks, just, trying to set up a time that makes sense for both of us for him to come on the show and break down some of his projections and his numbers and, again, the analytical side of things that he has for the Raiders and even some of the rookie class. And I was looking over some of the numbers and the charts that he had, and he sent me so much stuff, on my email, sent me in the direct message as well. Like I said, we've been working on this for a while. And there's some things to be excited about. So, I was just looking at a little bit of it, but we're going to really try to focus in on the Raiders and their rookie class, trading Stukes, obviously Fernando Mendoza, and others. And so Dave Bartoo, he'll join us. Really good conversation looking forward to coming up at 3 o'clock. And then our guy Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports, he'll join us at 4, and we'll just scatter shoot all things NFL. Just saw that Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle for the Titans, signed a big contract extension. So we'll talk about a lot of different players. We'll talk about, obviously, the Brendan Sorsby situation and more. We'll do that with our good friend Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports. We'll do that coming up at 4 o'clock. As I'm sitting here in Studio Q, I'm watching USA and Australia right now, and it's funny because just when Will already hit us on the text line, he said, "Aloha Q, aloha Ari, aloha Nation, USA, USA, USA." I want to say good game to our brother Cam. Woo, Cam in Australia. He said it's all love always, my brother. That's it. Have a great show, fellas. Aloha Raiders. And it's so funny because as much as just when Will was texting and shouting out Cam, as I was watching it, it just went final. USA won 2-0 over Australia, and they advanced to the knockout round. I was thinking of Cam as well because it was Australia, and that's our guy, and he's always representing and always hitting us up on the phone lines and chiming in on the show. And so that's funny that just when Will was thinking of the same lines I was. So shout out to the USA. I know walking around the building earlier today, a lot of folks were very, very intrigued and interested by this one. And so it's funny. We don't have a whole lot of TVs outside of the studios in the office. But, man, people were trying to gather around and check it out and check out a little USA action, and they get the dub again, 2-0 over Australia. So shout out to USA and anyone who's tuning in to a little soccer action. I've been trying to learn a little World Cup, man. I've been trying. I'm never going to claim to be a soccer aficionado. I'm not that guy. But anytime that the World Cup is going on, I'm definitely going to pay attention, and especially when the U.S. is doing really well. They're at a +5 goal differential right now. They've got 6 total points through 2 games played, so they're sitting there on the top of Group D right now. So they're doing as well as they can, and that's all that you could ask, right? 2 up so far, 2 dubs, and they're scoring some goals, so they're looking pretty good, and we'll see how it continues to roll on. This is the last show that we have for the next couple of weeks. I'll be taking a little bit of vacation right after this, and that's that one vacation that we take each and every year and then come back recharged, ready to go. So just kind of keep that in your notes. Of course, we'll continue to remind you as well, but make sure you tune into the morning tailgate. Make sure you tune in to JT the Brick as well, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., and, of course, noon to 2 right here on RaiderNation Radio 920. So we got a lot to get to on today's show. It is, Father's Day weekend. We also got another text from our guy, where is it? Here we go. Jay Will in San Diego. He said, aloha and happy Juneteenth Friday, Q and Ari. Happy Father's to you, Q and Ari. If you're a father, Ari is not. He's AI generated. Happy Father's Day to you as well. Happy Father's Day to all of Raider Nation. Q, have a great vacation. And, yeah, so definitely happy Father's Day weekend to everyone who is a father out there. Ari, just giving you a bad time because I could do that.
That's all good.
That's
happy
how
Father's
I roll.
Day to you.
There you go. There you go. And it is Juneteenth, and it's funny because it's a federal holiday now, and so there's a lot of folks that do have the day off. We do not, obviously, and so even on the podcast, I even forgot to shout out Juneteenth because I'm normally just thinking, all right, hey, it's a day that we're off, and we're not off yet here, so not that I mind being here doing a show. I always enjoy that, but definitely want to shout out to Juneteenth. It does commemorate when Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced that the enslaved black Americans were free more than 2 years after the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation. So I remember being in Texas and going to a lot of these Juneteenth celebrations. They were really, really special. So, yeah, definitely want to shout out to Juneteenth as well. And if you do have the day off and get to start your weekend a little bit early, then shout out to you. It means you get to lock in on the show a little bit more than you normally would do because you don't have any distractions. But here we go. Like I said, big show lined up for you. Vinny Bonsginore at 2:30, Dave Bartoo at 3 p.m. Tyler Dragon will join us at 4. We'll hear from you throughout the course of the show at 702-365-9200. Before we get into the opening drive, we definitely want to hear from our guy E-Rob. Yesterday was important. Obviously, the weekend is going to be important, but today is important as well, and that's why.
Because every day matters. The older you get, the more you start appreciating day in and day out because I can't get that time back. I'm in the business of saying, not if I would have did this or if I would have did that. I'm in the business of now.
I'm in the business of now as well. So right now, let's jump into the opening drive.
The opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM is brought to you by Paul Patta Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
Man, it's funny. We got lit up on the text line already, man. It's on and popping, and we haven't even thrown a topic out there yet today, and I could appreciate that, man. A lot of energy. I could feel it on the text line, and we do appreciate that. Like this one from Grumpy Ass Mexican. He said, Q, I know you're not big into soccer, but how about Mexico? Go Mexico, and the USA wins. Sorry, Cam. Woo, Cam. He said, I'll check you out on the podcast later. Hey, Ari, you got anything Mexican in your repertoire? Let's go, Raiders. Let's go, Mexico and USA. So there you go. Mexico picked up the victory last night. What was it? 1-0, I believe they got the win. So as much as I'm not into soccer, I have been paying attention because, again, it's the World Cup. There's certain things that you pay attention to, even if it's not your sport. Like the Stanley Cup, for example. I was focusing on the Stanley Cup playoffs and the finals. It's not my sport. Like, hockey is not – you're not going to ever get me to act like I'm some big, hockey aficionado and you're going to – I'm super passionate about it. But when it becomes the time for the playoffs and the time for the finals, I'm always going to lock in. And so when it comes to the World Cup, when it comes to the Olympics, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm always going to be focusing on that just to see how it all plays out. And the World Cup is cool because of the pageantry, right? We talk about – like college athletics and even high school sports where the pageantry is always great. And you say, you just can't get that in the pros. Well, the pageantry in the World Cup is times 1,000,000, right? Take all the pageantry you get from college football and times it time at least 1,000. And that's what you're going to get in the World Cup. And that's what's really cool, man. I just love to see all the celebrations and the excitement and the energy from all the fans that go out there that are super into soccer and super into, representing for their country. So I'm not mad at that. At all. So Grumpy Ass Mexican, thanks so much for that. Do appreciate you. Like I said, man, we already got a bunch of texts already rolling through on the text line at 702-365-9200. 9200. So make sure you keep that rolling in. But I did want to get into the topic of the day. First, we'll start with Father's Day weekend because it is Father's Day weekend. So I want to ask the question, how did your father fuel your Raider fandom or your sports fandom in general? And how do you do it if you are a father? How do you do that to influence your kids? That's part A, right? If we're going to go out, if this is going to be the last show for a while, damn it, we're going out with a bang. We're going to empty the clip, right? We're leaving it all out there on the turf, on the radio airwaves, whatever you want to call it. Like, we're emptying the absolute tank today. By the time the show's over, it's going to be just like, whew, all right, we did it. We got there, right? We're going to go hard in the paint. So that's part A. How did your father fuel your Raider fandom or sports fandom in general, and how do you do that for your kids? And part B, if you watched Behind the Shield episode 1, what rookie got you most fired up and why? Fernando Mendoza, Trayden Stukes, or Keyron Crawford? And for anyone who watches understands where I'm going with that, right? They showed the behind the scenes. They showed at the combine when Fernando came in. They had 18 minutes to talk to Mendoza. They had 18 minutes to talk to Stukes. They had 18 minutes to talk to Crawford. That's how that speed dating is there at the scouting combine in Indianapolis, which is really cool because I'm always on the other side of the wall. Right, the Raiders and the prospects were in rooms and they were doing their Q&A. They were getting their question and answers on. I've never seen that side of it. As much as I've been to the scouting combine, I'm always in the side where the media is at, where we're able to access the GMs or the coaches or the prospects. But I'm not in that room. So checking that out last night, I thought it was really cool. And it was only episode 1, so you only got 30 minutes, so you couldn't get everybody in the draft class. But to me, the rookies that really stood out that they focused in on were Fernando Mendoza, Trayden Stukes, and Keyron Crawford. And I'll tell you right now, as much as I think all these rookies have an opportunity to be, big impact players, and of course Fernando Mendoza will be the, quarterback of the future for this team, I kind of like the edge that Keyron Crawford came with. Right? I really kind of like the way that his attitude, his no nonsense about him, the way he answered questions, and the way that the coaching staff, the front office staff, all those guys, Robbie Leonard, all the guys that were there in attendance, the way they reacted when he left. You know what I mean? When you're around somebody and they're just a bad SOB, and then they walk out the room and you're like, that was one bad SOB. I felt like that was how the Raiders felt when Keyron Crawford left out the room. Right? The way that he responded to the answers that they were, asking him, and the way that he was saying, hey, I'm still young in football, I'm still learning the game. To me, it sounded like, from hearing John Spytek, Starks, all those guys, it just, to me, it sounded like they were hearing a guy that they believe has a chance to be not only a good player in the league, but like a star, just because he has that relentless motor. He has that nasty to him. And I remember when he got drafted and we had the conversations of, well, who do you think, how many starters do you think they got out of this draft? And I said 2, and I stand by that. Right, Trayden Stukes, a second-round pick out of Arizona, and Trey Zune, third-round pick out of Texas A&M. I felt like those were the 2 starters that day one starters that they got. And I remember some of you texted in and called in and was like, Q, I think you need to pay attention a little bit more to Keyron Crawford. I think he's got a little something. And I said, yeah, I think he's got something too, but I don't know if he's a day one starter. But the way that they sounded and the way that they reacted to the way that he talked and the answers, the way that he delivered his answers to him, when they were asking about, just what motivates him, what pushes him. I ain't saying he's a day one starter, but I feel like he could be a dude that we're talking about in, like, December. Like, hey, man, this rookie he's a guy. I just got that sense from watching. So out of those 3, you probably thought, okay, he's either going to go Mendoza or Stukes because he always says DBs win games, so he's got to lean towards Stukes, right? And I did appreciate what Stukes said as well. I think he's very intelligent. I think that he's a sharp mind, and I think he's a really good player. But, man, something about that edge that Keyron Crawford has to him, right? And I can't wait to get an opportunity, and obviously that won't happen until training camp, to actually talk to him and kind of, just kind of ask him, kind of pick his brain a little bit about, what he felt going through the interview process there at the scouting combine. Not with just the Raiders, with everybody. Because, again, he just seemed like a dude who was, as a matter of fact, and kind of had a real sense of, this is who I am, this is what you're getting, and get ready because I'm bringing it. All right, that's, to me, That's who stood out of those three rookies, Mendoza, Stukes, or Crawford. Crawford made the biggest impression on me. But that's just me. So I do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200 on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippy's. 2 questions for you, A and B. How did your father fuel your Raiders fandom or sports fandom in general? And how do you influence your kids? And if you did get an opportunity to watch Behind the Shield Episode 1, what rookie got you most fired up and why? Fernando Mendoza, Traden Stukes, or Keyron Crawford. I'll let you know how my father influenced my Raider fandom and sports fandom in general in a little bit. But let's go out to Oregon and talk to our guy, Charles. Charles in charge. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind on this Aloha Friday?
Hey, aloha, Ari and Q. How you guys doing today, man?
Hey, man, we're blessed, man. How about you?
Blessed as well, my brother. So just have to share. I would say with me, it was more my older brother. My older brother, in our house, we were kind of divided, though, because he was a Niners fan. So I gravitated towards the Raiders just because I was the younger brother, and I thought, why not put up a fight? But, you know, we were respectful of each other's teams, you know, dominating the 80s and that kind of thing. But I would say it was more my older brother, Phil. So I appreciate that. He got me into football. And Ken Stabler, the snake, was who I gravitated towards big time. As far as the Behind the Shield, man, that was so awesome watching that video, just seeing all the stuff behind the scenes and seeing the interviews and seeing Fernando's response to Tom Brady and all that. But the guy that continues to stand out to me is Traden Stukes. All three of them, you know, Crawford as well. But Stukes, when he is interviewed, his answers, he comes across as the guy that has all the answers to the test. He does not. I mean, I don't know how you look. He just looks so prepared and so relaxed. And I'm telling you, there's something about the guy. He gives off this leadership vibe, this intelligence vibe. He reminds me a lot. I've said it before to Fred Warner. Fred Warner became one of the great leaders of the Niners and just a great linebacker. A unicorn. And there's something about Traden Stukes. I wouldn't be surprised if Stukes ends up being one of the leaders very quickly of the core of this Raider team. So I'd go with Stukes. Excited for all of them, though, because I think it was a great draft. Happy Father's Day to you, man. Hope you have a good one. And God bless. You guys have a great weekend. Aloha.
There he is, Charles in Oregon on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippy's. Thanks so much for that. Really good call, man. Really good call. And I get those same leadership vibes from Traden Stukes as well. He definitely has that leadership quality to him. He's a little bit older. I know some people questioned that when the Raiders drafted him. Well, he's a little older rookie. I don't care. A lot of these rookies are older because they have eligibility. They had the extra year eligibility, especially these past few drafts. You know, with the whole COVID thing, it set everybody back a year. So some of these rookies are going to be a little bit older. Guys that get injured, sometimes they get that red shirt as well. So you can end up getting an older rookie, but I'm okay with that. He's got the leadership skills, and I agree with you 100% that he is, sooner rather than later, going to be one of those leaders. The Raiders are going to have a whole new secondary, a whole new look, and we've actually spent a lot of time talking about Traden Stukes, him being that slot corner, being that guy, as Eric Allen called him, the Joker, when he was on with Paul Gutierrez there upon further review. Also Behind the Shield, Raiders.com, you can check that out. Really good stuff from EA, and when the Hall of Famer says that he envisions him being that Joker type role, I think everybody pays attention. So I don't think that that's a bad answer at all. And I'm really excited by what he's going to be able to do. And I labeled him a day one starter because I do believe he will be a starter on day one. So thanks so much for that call. Thanks for starting us off, man. We definitely do appreciate you, man. We got Vinny Bonsginore coming up at 2:30. Again, threw the question out there, how did your father fuel your Raiders fandom or sports fandom in general? And how do you do that, influence it for your kids? And then if you watched the Behind the Shield episode 1, what rookie did you get most fired up about and why? Fernando Mendoza, Traden Stukes, or Keyron Crawford. And I'll say this real quick about my pops, man. I mean, I said this on the podcast today. I grew up in the Bay when, you know, there was the blackout rule, the stupid blackout rule, where the game had to be sold out to be able to watch it on TV. And, well, it never was sold out, right? I mean, when the Raiders returned in 95, it rarely was sold out. So a lot of times you had to do something. You had to make some moves, or you had to listen to it on the radio, which was never a problem. Listening to it on the radio was fantastic. You know, that Greg Papa was my soundtrack to, you know, growing up. And obviously we all know the greatness of Greg. But My dad used to go out of his way, man. He used to drive as far as we had to drive to get outside of that range that we were still in the, and I say as in air quotes, local market. He would drive as far as he had to drive to get us out of the local market so we could turn on the game and watch it on TV. Or we'd go out to, his boat and we'd listen to it on the radio, and I could envision what was going on. And it's funny because everything came full circle where I'm at now and what I do for a living, which I had no idea and had no desire to do that at this age. I had nothing to, radio wasn't something that I wanted to do when I was a kid. I had no idea, right? There's some people that are like, man, I sat by the radio and I just stared at it and envisioned myself as that guy. I never was that guy. I never was that guy. I never had dreams of being on the radio. It just, something happened, and boom, I fell into it, and I kept rolling, and I guess I'm all right because I'm still around. So that's just how these things work. But just the extra effort, just to be able to, like I said, take me out of that range. And I always thought that was the dumbest rule, and that's why they got rid of it now. But it was such the dumbest rule that it had to be a sellout before you can actually see the game televised locally. I could not stand it, but it just kind of is what it is. And so, like I said, he always went out of his way. But that was just part of the the Raider fandom. There were so many different things that he did. I shared the story of me trying out for baseball. I shared that on the podcast today when I was really good at catching the ball. I was really good at throwing the ball. I was fast as I'll get out. I thought I was Ricky Henderson, but for some reason, when I went to try out, I missed every single pitch. They threw me 20 pitches, and I swung and missed at every one of them. So you can imagine how angry I was. Even as a little Q, I was still angry. I was hotter than fish grease, man. And then this dude, the coach, says, all right, after this pitch, man, run out the bases, run all the bases. And I looked back at him. I was like, why? Like, you got this kid that's yelling back to the coach, why? Why do you want me to run? Well, we want to see how you run. I was like, I'm fast. You know what I mean? Like, I'm damn near arguing with this guy. He's like, just run it out. I was like, all right. So, of course, I swing and miss because I got a bad attitude. And I run it out, and I was really fast. So they're like, oh, he's really good. I was so mad. I was so angry. I was damn near in tears walking back to my dad's car. And he was like, oh, no, don't worry about that. And he took me right over to the batting cage, and we did not leave. It was sun up when we got there. It was not sun. It was sundown when we left. Because, man, that dude fed the machine quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter. Before we get up out of here, you're going to be hitting that ball consistently. And finally I did. And then he fed some more quarters. All right, you're going to do it some more. You're going to do it some more. And then went out of his way to get me, batting lessons, had me a batting coach and everything, took me to the batting cages in Antioch where Ricky Henderson used to train. Man, I was in hog heaven. And then all of a sudden I became really good. It's like, okay, but that was like my dad was not going to let me fail. He was like, oh, and then he was not going to let me hang my head either and be like, oh, you had a bad day, so you're going to cry, go to the car and whatever. It is what it is. Nah, he wouldn't let me have that either. And I'll tell you right now, as competitive as I am, and we all know I'm about as competitive as it gets, I knew I could beat anybody the day that I beat my pops. Once I beat him in anything, and we were playing basketball most of the time, we'd play different sports, but when I finally beat him in hoops, I knew I could beat anyone. At least that's what I thought. Like, if I could beat that dude, you ain't nobody. In my mind, that's what I thought. Like, you ain't going to stop me. If I could beat him, oh, man, you don't stand a chance. So then you want to talk about confidence. Like, I am a guy that needs any extra confidence. That's all the confidence I needed. Once I beat him and he gave it to me, like, yep, that was a dub. It was over after that. It was over, right? I was walking around like I was 6'5". Never made it more than 5'11", but I sure did. I walked around with my chest out and thought I was, like I said, 6'5", and I was tearing down rims, even though I wasn't. But I sure thought I was after I beat him. So that's just a couple quick examples, man, of what my pops did to help my sports fandom and why I'm the guy that I am today when it comes to sports in general. And like I said, the big assist that he always gave me to make sure I could watch the Raiders game by going the extra mile to take me out of the local limits. That was always awesome and always appreciated. So we do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200. It is Father's Day weekend. How did your father fuel your Raiders fandom or sports fandom in general, and how do you influence your kids? And if you got an opportunity to watch Behind the Shield episode 1, if you didn't, go check it out. Not during the show. Do it afterwards. But yeah, just make sure you check it out. What rookie got you most fired up and why? Fernando Mendoza, Traden Stukes, or Keyron Crawford. Let us know your thoughts. 702-365-9200. Hit us up on the text line. We've got Vinny Bonsginore from the California Post and the Morning Tailgate here on RaiderNation Radio 920 joining us next. So, again, text line 702-365-9200. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
That was the opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM. Brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury. It's about the recovery.
I knew Trey was a good player, but he's done a heck of a job in the offseason. He can just run all day. You know, Jalen Naylor coming from Minnesota has been excellent. Brock is not a receiver, but he's been excellent. You don't really know until you start getting pads on. So I like where we're headed. Some of the young guys that we drafted, Malik Benson has done a phenomenal job coming in. You know, we have some undrafted guys that have got a lot more reps than normally would for maybe a veteran taking a day here or there. So, you know, we got a long way to go. We'll see what happens here from training camp.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Let's go inside the huddle with Vinny Bonsginore, sponsored by Dos Caras Tequila and presented by the Realty One Group.
And you hear Clint Kubiak, Raiders head coach, on the way in talking about the wide receiver room. Even Brock Bowers just as a target. Obviously, we know he's a tight end. And then, of course, some of the rookies as well. But as he told us on that Thursday when mandatory minicamp was getting wrapped up, you'll learn a lot more about this team once the pads come on. Sometimes during June, during OTAs and mandatory minicamp, T-shirts, shorts, you look really good. Once the pads come on, it's a different ball game. And that's when you start to notice some guys. Some guys that you don't notice right now, you could end up noticing once the pads come on the end of July when they're getting ready for preseason action. It's Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Vinny Bonsginore does join us now from the California Post and, of course, the Morning Tailgate here on Raider Nation Radio 920. And, Vinny, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you. We'll start right there on this Aloha Friday with the wide receiver room and the rookies. Me and you both had conversations about Jack Bech and that he didn't really pop during OTAs or mandatory minicamp. We couldn't really feel that he was there. To me, he's one of those guys that you'll probably feel once the pads come on and once he's allowed to have some physicality as a part of his game. What are your thoughts about Bech once training camp opens up?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. And we kind of saw that last year. Once the pads came on, Jack Bech's physicality showed up. And it's kind of what he's sort of known for. I think he needs to expand the game, his game, beyond just that. But it's a great point. Because we really didn't, necessarily feel him as much as I thought maybe we would have during that phase. But obviously there's ample time. And look, I've talked to a number of offensive coordinators over the last couple of months or so in terms of, look, at this stage of the year, yeah, there's competition, but it's more about laying the groundwork. The competition really does start in training camp, OTAs, mini camp. There is an element. I'm not trying to say that there isn't an element of competition, but the fact that the pads aren't on and the fact that you're kind of laying the groundwork for your offense and on the other side of the ball on your defense and getting them ready to then go really truly compete, knowing what they're supposed to be doing, knowing what their roles are and their assignments are, and then, hey, here's your helmet, here's your shoulder pads, here's your pants. Here's your cleats. Now it's time to go get after it at a different level in terms of the competition and bringing that physicality. So all of those things I think bode well for Jack Bech. But the point of the matter is he and others, they have to. That's their objective. That's their goal. And that's what the Raiders want to see.
There's no doubt about that. Again, Vinny Bonsginore is with us here from the California Post on Raider Nation Radio 920. And as far as, Jack Bech is one thing, but I would say that Dante Thornton is in the same boat, different style of player. But I would say he needs to show something as well because there is a lot of healthy competition that we will see in training camp, won't we?
Yeah, and that's a good thing for everybody involved. And, as Clint said about Zeke Massis, look, Can you hear? It's time for you to step up a little bit. And at his size, with his speed, all of those ingredients are there, and it jumps out at you when you watch him, when you see him, when you take him in visually. But now it needs to show up in a football sense. And again, talking about that physicality, going to fight for the ball, getting your feet work in order, being able to push off, get in and out of your routes with the pads on, and with somebody bodying you up. That didn't necessarily happen, or doesn't necessarily happen in OTAs and minicamp. So again, another player who, when those lights come on and that competition switch gets switched on, he needs to show up. And as you just said, there's other bodies there. There's other players there that are fighting for the same thing. And so it truly is the best man. Let the best man win. Everybody has an opportunity, but it's what you make of that opportunity.
Yeah, they've got the opportunity. You said it right. That's perfect. They've got the opportunity, but they've got to go out there. They got to put their best foot forward and, again, put this thing together and go out there and be the best player that they could be for this team. We're talking about, Behind the Shield, Episode 1. I know that you guys were talking about it this morning as well. And I mentioned, Vinny, how we're at the Combine every year, but we're on the other side of the wall. We're not in the room where they're interviewing the prospects, like we were able to see on Behind the Shield last night. For what you were able to see, what did you think of just kind of the interview process, or like John Spytek called it, speed dating with the 18 minutes that they get with the prospects?
Yeah, and obviously we just got a glimpse of it. It's so much more in depth than we're able to see, even from that perspective, the perspective that we got last night. But I was appreciative. And I'm glad for Raider Nation that they were able to, peel or lift the curtain up just a little bit to kind of get a glimpse and a sense of what those things are all about, and what you're striving for, what you're trying to do, how you're trying to mesh with that person, how you're trying to, glean as much information beyond just their facade and what they've been taught to do from, their media teachers and their coaches and all the prep work that the players do in those situations, because you want to cut through that. And we understand it from the player's perspective of trying to put their best foot forward. It is a job interview, and it makes sense to get help, in those situations. But but on the other end of it, you're trying to kind of cut through all that to get to the core of the person that you're dealing with, because let's face it, there's a lot of money, there's years of investment, and you want to know that you have a pretty decent read on that person. Now, it starts there, and then, you have the personal visits. You go out to pro days. If you want, you take somebody out to dinner and get to know them. There's also the background checks that you're doing. But I felt like watching, the staff, the Raider staff, Clint Kubiak, John Spytek, Brandon Urigan, and everybody else that was involved in it. I felt it gave Raider Nation a really good idea and a good sense of the decision makers, of the process, and the diligence that this iteration of Raiders leaders are operating under. And I felt like it was a healthy look at that, and I'm glad Raider Nation got a chance to see it.
Yeah, I thought they did a hell of a job putting that together. I actually got up this morning and I had to send a text over to Marcus over at the Raiders. It was like, hey, man, well done by your team, right? Because, again, it was a really good, healthy, behind-the-scenes of stuff that me and you don't even get to see when we're at the Combine. We see one angle, but we got to see another angle, which I thought was refreshing. It was really cool for me. Checking out Fernando Mendoza, Traden Stukes, Crawford, those were really the three rookies that they focused in a lot on Episode 1. Did any of those guys stand out to you, like when you started to hear what they had to say once Spytek and company were peppering them with some questions?
Yeah, I think Traden Stukes is somebody that kind of lights everything up. The room, when he's on the field, you talk about feeling his presence. You feel Traden's presence on the field, and clearly you got an idea of what the staff was so enamored with, getting the chance to get to know him. And talk to him. He's all serious. He's very serious. He's very energetic. He brings a lot of energy. You can see that on the field. You can see that in the interview session. And you can understand why the Raiders were so adamant about using that's like an end of a first-round pick that they used on him. It was a high second-round pick, obviously. And they devoted that to Stukes, and I think for the right reasons. And I think he's going to be somebody that Raider Nation is going to come to appreciate much sooner than later. I think he's going to be pretty much a day one starter, or at the very least a rotational player, and a big one, an important one on the back end of the Raiders secondary. And sometimes lining up in the slot, sometimes lining up closer to the line of scrimmage. He's a ultimate chess piece out there, and I think Raider Nation is going to appreciate that.
It's funny that you labeled him that chess piece. Eric Allen told Paul Gutierrez he thought he was the Joker. Right, he thought he was going to be the Joker of the defense, and that's pretty much what you're calling him with that chess piece. And I do think that he could be that guy. Charles in Oregon actually called in earlier and said that was the guy that stood out to him as well. I like the approach and the attitude that Crawford had. I don't know if you caught it, but he was very serious, very, as a matter of fact, it's like basically, hey, who I am is what you're getting right here. And I always like to say, Vinny, he seemed like a guy that had a little something in his neck. What did you take away from Crawford?
For sure, all business. And another player that really jumps out at you from an athletic standpoint, and then getting a chance to hear from him and see him in that setting with the bright lights on and getting, almost interrogated, in those situations, but more than held up to it. No surprise whatsoever. He's a really sharp kid. And so that combination of what he's going to bring above the shoulders, and then what he obviously brings from an athletic standpoint and a physical standpoint, it'll be really intriguing to see at what point he gets on the field and in what role, because I think there's going to be a role for him as a rookie. It's just kind of a matter of what exactly is it going to be, how much is that going to entail. A lot of that's going to come down to what his understanding of his role in the defense is come training camp. But from a physical and an intelligence standpoint and a demeanor standpoint, he kind of checks off a lot of the different boxes that you want to see.
Didn't it feel like when he walked out of the room, the coaches, the front office, Spytek and company kind of looked at each other like, that dude's a badass?
Yeah. That's when that happens, and everyone looks at each other around the room and going, did you hear what you just saw that too, right? Yeah, that's literally checking off all boxes with multiple people, and then you just go, okay, put a circle around him or put a check mark next to him. That's somebody that we're gonna. That was March. That was during the scouting combine.
End of February. End of February. Yep.
End of February. Exactly. Let's put a check mark next to him, and let's do some more looking into him. But he's off to a pretty good start, and obviously it ended up really well for the Raiders and for him.
No doubt. Vinny Bonsginore is with us here, RaiderNation Radio 920. Of course, you can find Vinny's work in the California Post and hear him every morning on the morning tailgate here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Do you feel like there's anything that John Spytek and company need to get accomplished now, or between now and the start of training camp?
I just feel like I know that they're at that point where, okay, we kind of have a pretty good sense of what this roster looks like. I don't think there's anybody on the roster that they don't like or they don't feel good about. Mm-hmm. And I think they're kind of at the point now where we feel good about, this group of 90, not to say that there won't be a tweak here or a tweak there. But let's go give them an opportunity, a real opportunity. These guys have been in the building, obviously the veterans for since carrying over from last year and the free agents since March, and then being in the building since somewhere in April, and then you bring in the rookie draft class. I think all of these guys have earned a chance now from the Raiders' perspective. Are you part of the answer? Can you be part of this journey moving forward? And I think those guys are going to get that earnest opportunity. So I don't really necessarily think there's much more that they're going to do. That doesn't mean that they're not constantly on the lookout for improvements. Mm-hmm. But I think when they look at what's out there available right now presently and compare it to what they have in their building right now, I think they feel pretty good about what's in their building right now, at least to give them an opportunity to go win some jobs come late July.
We'll close out with this, Vinny, and it is Father's Day weekend, so definitely wanted to, shout you out and hope you have a really good Father's Day weekend. Of course,
likewise.
You and the family. But I did want to ask you, because I know you've been around sports, covering sports, watching sports for a very long time since you were a little Vinny, right? And now you're a grown Vinny, but before then you were watching sports. How did your father help shape your sports fandom, kind of shape you into, like I said, the sports guy that you are today?
I would have to say everything, and it's funny because my brother, who I'm visiting right now, is standing right over to the side of me, and I know that he could attest.
Nice.
So my brother Charles could attest that our father definitely shaped our sports, fandom and our love for sports. It was a constant in our house. So to my dad, Vincent, absolutely a happy Father's Day for him, and a real big thank you for really establishing our love for sports, and that carries on to this day, even though my brother Charles is a New York Giants fan, but we'll forgive him for that. That's no big deal. In fact,
everyone can't be perfect, man.
Exactly. So, but yes, there's no question that he played the pivotal role in all that, and I know that he's up somewhere, wherever he is. I can't imagine how excited he is at his New York Knicks of all teams, and he was an ardent New York Knicks fan. My dad was to finally see the Knicks win a championship again, because trust me, he talked about those Walt Frazier, Dave DeBusschere, New York Knicks teams, Willis Reed Knicks teams forever, and we're like, Dad, that was like 20. It was 20 years ago then. Now it's 50 years ago now. But he finally got one, and I'm sure he's extremely happy right now.
How much pride do you take in everything that you just said about your pops and how he shaped your sports fandom and who you are today? You're doing the same thing for your kids. Obviously they're heavily involved in sports as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And my daughter's here right now. We've been talking a lot of sports, and
of course,
literally dropped off Noah, my son, a couple hours ago over at he went to the Grove in Los Angeles to watch Team USA. He's a huge soccer fan. He loves soccer, basketball,
nice.
football, but soccer is one of his things. So he's over there doing his thing, watching soccer. So it's just this ever-evolving, kind of full circle in a lot of ways as well. So the role that I've played in that, I take a little bit of pride in, and the apple didn't fall too far from the tree in that regard.
Not at all. Not at all. I say it all the time to you. Jasmine's going to be a damn CEO. She's going to run a team sooner rather than later, and Noah's going to be right there with her. So, yeah, man, you did right, man. You did right. There's no doubt about that. What are you working on, my man, before we let you go? What are you working on we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I'm going to wrap up the what did we learn from the Raiders throughout the offseason, which I think is a lot, and that'll be coming up in the California Post, I think it's Monday or Tuesday of next week. So, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a break,
nice.
Not from the radio, but from writing for a little bit, and because Q, the train's getting ready to leave that station
yes.
in just a few weeks now.
Yes.
We're talking weeks, not months, weeks for the season to start. So I'm fired up about it. I know you are. And we'll take a little bit of a break. I know you're getting your break going to Hawaii.
Yep.
And then it's full charge ahead once you get back.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, great work as always, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. Have a happy Father's Day weekend, man, and we'll talk soon.
Love you, brother, and have a great weekend and have a great vacation.
All right, thanks so much. Great stuff. Great stuff as always. Vinny Bonsginore there with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. That's how we roll. We want to continue to hear from you at 702-365-9200 as we close out hour number 1 of the show. If you watched the Behind the Shield episode 1, what rookie was it that got you most fired up about and why? Fernando Mendoza, Trayton Stukes, or Keyron Crawford? Let us know your thoughts on that. And Father's Day weekend, how did your father help fuel your Raider fandom or sports fandom in general? And how do you influence your kids? Let us know. We hear from you next. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
This is Ashton Genty of the Las Vegas Raiders, and you're listening to Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio.
Right now, we want to hear from you at 702-365-9200 here on Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920 on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippy's. Father's Day weekend, how did your father fuel your Raider fandom or sports fandom in general? And how do you do that for your kids? Do you have a strong influence? Like I told my boys, there is no option. You're Raiders or you're out. So they chose to be in. So that's it was that easy for me, right? Like, hey man, we're gonna roll like I roll. And so that's just how it is. But what do you do? How have you influenced your kids? And if you watch Behind the Shield episode 1, what rookie did you get most fired up about and why? Fernando Mendoza, Trayton Stukes, or Keyron Crawford? And let us know your thoughts on that. Again, 702-365-9200. Let's go out to the 808. Let's go out to Hawaii to hear my guy, Dustin. Dustin, welcome to the show on this Aloha Friday.
Hey, happy Aloha Friday, Q. No work till Monday, baby.
That's right.
Man,
that's right.
First off, I just want to wish you a great vacation in Maui. My cousin, who I meet up every year for a Raider game in Vegas, is from the IE. He's in Maui right now, living his best life with his kids, man. So happy vacation, man. Enjoy your time in Maui, man. The weather's beautiful. Be careful. I just got out of the water. The waves are big, so be careful out there. But, man, it is beautiful out here today.
Nice.
For my Raider fandom, man, I have a photo, and one of my best friends growing up has the same photo. My dad was in the car business in L.A., and so we always got tickets, and I got a photo. It was 84. I was 3 years old. I'm in a Marcus Allen jersey at a Raiders-Rams game, and my buddy Billy is in a Rams jersey. We've been diehard fans for our teams ever since. My dad retired and moved up to the Bay Area, and now he's supposedly a Niners fan. I never knew that Bay Area rival, you know what I mean? Because, I'm from Southern California originally, but now I have a hatred for the Niners, and I love talking smack with my dad. My dad just tells all his friends, my kid is a diehard Raider fan. It's been that way ever since, man. I will never, and my kids, just like you, Raider fan or get out. You know what I mean? I'm the same exact way, man. Yeah. Hey, man, I love it. I've been living in Hawaii for 25 years, and I've been flexing the shield the entire time I've been here. And, man, I love seeing the fandom grow up out here, man. But anyways, brother, I just wanted to wish you a great vacation. Happy Aloha Friday. Happy Father's Day, man. Aloha from Hawaii.
Hey, man, aloha to you as well, Dustin. Thanks so much for the call. Great stuff, man. Great feedback. And, yeah, cannot wait to get to the islands. And don't you worry, man, those big waves ain't going to get me. I know my role, right? But it's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait, man. It's the happiest place on earth. I tell people all the time, as you already know, 25 years long strong, huh? That is fantastic. And keep flexing that shield. And, they always talk about, Vegas is the ninth island. And so whenever we go there and we get to talk to a lot of the natives and everything, they always really gravitate to us because they know that we're coming from Las Vegas. But really good stuff, man. Keep that feedback coming. Love it. 702-365-9200. Again, how did your father fuel your Raider fandom or sports fandom in general? How did you influence your kids? And if you watched Behind the Shield episode 1, what rookie got you most fired up and why? They featured really Fernando Mendoza, Trayden Stukes, Keyron Crawford. Crawford did it for me, but we want to hear who did it for you at 702-365-9200. As a matter of fact, we'll feature some of these rookies when we kick off hour number 2 as we talk to my guy, Dave Bartoo, Matrix Analytical. We'll do it all. Hour number 2, Raider Nation Radio, 920.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
Honestly, this time last year, I would have never said a Signetti could do anything like that either. I'm still in awe. It's just beyond my comprehension. It really is. And it wasn't just turning around a non-top 10, top 15 recruiter. I mean, this is one of the worst Power 4 recruiters of the last century. This is arguably the worst team of the century. I mean, I still can't even believe it.
It's Unnecessary Roughness, presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
As we kick off hour number 2 of the show, we come into the sounds of the Out of Bounds podcast and talking about Kirk Signetti, Indiana's incredible turnaround, recruiting, how they were able to get it done, but they did. They got it done start to finish unscathed. Got a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback out of it, turned into the number 1 overall pick, and the national champions are the Indiana Hoosiers. It's Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. That voice that you heard coming in was our guy, Dave Bartoo, MatrixEdgeAI.com, Matrix Analytical Solutions, Cat Scoring Program, and more. And Dave, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you. This has been a long time in the makings. I let everyone know early that me and Dave go way back to when I was in Central Texas, and here I am now in Las Vegas, and you're here with me, and I'm excited about this conversation. And we'll go ahead and jump right into explain to everyone what you do, how you come up with the projections that you come up with. We'll focus in on the rookies that the Raiders had, at least the first few of them of the class. But how do you come up with the different projections that you do with your analytics?
Well, a lot of it has just been coaches, right? I mean, and you've got it. Who would have thought we'd be talking NFL football? Las Vegas Raiders. I've been in college football for over a decade. And for everybody listening, I tell stories with numbers. Doesn't really matter. It just happens to have been college football and NFL staffing. I've been doing staffing analytics for nearly a decade. And then I started doing OC and DC behaviors. Now, we'll save that for another show, but we will start breaking down play calling behaviors, which is fascinating to me. But essentially, if I have a database, I can create an answer for you. So, in the NFL, had somebody reach out to me last week and said, how do we benchmark these rookies? How, what's good, what's bad, what's in the middle? Because everybody wants to think that Mendoza is going to throw for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns and be awesome. But realistically, everybody that's drafted has a draft position, so they have a peer group, and then they have a position group. So one of the goals today is to bring some realism into benchmarking some of your top guys, whether it's Crawford or Stukes or Mendoza. We'll get through enough until you cut me off and tell me to beat it and come back later.
I'm not mad at that at all. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's start with Fernando Mendoza. You mentioned him. You said he's in a peer group. Kind of tell us about the peer group and what are you seeing? What are the numbers telling you?
Right. So my data, I just went back to 2012. So we got a little more than a decade worth of picks. Now his peer group is the top half of the first round, picks 1 through 16. Now I think you and I would agree that pick number 1 of 1 is a little special, maybe even a little bit more expected out of him. But I am comparing him. His expectations are benchmarked to 2 groups. His pick group, so that 1 through 16, that's 36 quarterbacks in the last 13 years, but then also his overall group, all quarterbacks, because there's guys taken in the late first, early second, late second. Every once in a while, there's that guy that really hits it big his rookie year. But I think you and I agree, for the most part, they're all coming from those first 16 picks. So with Mendoza, when we get into it, is we look at his peer group, the average number of games played for his peer group, 36 quarterbacks drafted since 2012. Average number of game played is 13.5. Now, keep in mind, folks, you too, Q, that we got a 17-game schedule now. Most of the time, it was 16. So really 13.5, what we're expecting out of Fernando is, well, it's like any of these guys. Let's stay healthy, right? Hold our breath on everybody, right? Violent sport. So we're looking at 13.5. I'd say 14.5 games he's in. And then starts, average for his peer group is 13.
Okay.
So that to me is kind of the line in the sand. If he's under that, I don't think we would just go, oh, this is a bust, right? It's probably some health issues. You do have Kirk Cousins, who is more than capable. I think the question is, when does Fernando going to come in? If he doesn't get into the game, then I think maybe the question is, why did we take him number 1 if we're not putting him in there to see what he got? Right?
That's a good question.
His peer group, his peer group's averaging 13 starts, 36 guys over the last 13 years. The average is 13 starts. I do not prescribe to let him sit on the bench and learn. He has taken more snaps than just about anybody in college football the last 4 years. He's learned. He either can carry the bags on Sunday or he cannot. I don't care when he goes in there. I don't buy this whole let him sit and learn crap. If he's good enough to be 1 of 1, make him play.
I'm glad that you said it in the way that you pointed out, because that's been part of the conversation we've had here. You know, we've heard the conversation of Kirk Cousins will be there, and then eventually at some point they'll slide in, Fernando Mendoza and give him time to grow. But you're basically saying, hey, man, he's already where he needs to be. So maybe a couple games, but no more than 3 or 4 games on the bench.
Yeah, man, I don't buy this coach him up crap. I don't. Right? I mean, Fernando, all these great quarterbacks have learned to carry their teams. Look, you look at almost all the great NFL quarterbacks. They carried their team on Saturday. You can't carry it on Saturday. You're not carrying it on Sunday, which is why the hell I don't know why the Rams drafted Simpson, because he didn't carry nothing for 12 Saturdays. Worst quarterback in the last 15 years. Well, how is he going to carry the bags on Sunday if he can't do it on Saturday? He's got no experience. But with Fernando, I say put him in. And look at these numbers. What did I say? His average peer group starts 13 games. So I'll put the over-under on him being the starter by game number 4, and he starts the rest of the season.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Dave Bartoo is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920, and I guarantee you, your music to Raider Nation's ears right now, because everyone wants to see Fernando in there sooner rather than later. And I'm looking at some of these projections when it comes to passing yards and passing touchdowns. So how are you breaking this down? What's the numbers or the math problem that goes into that?
Oh, okay. So when I fed all of this in, now all my NFL stuff, I oversee all the data, and I use 3 different AIs, because AI lies. It lies all the time. You got to check it against itself, and it lies to each other. You got to do weeks of work. The first answer is always wrong. But what I've done is I've taken the data. Now I'm looking at Fernando Mendoza. See, one of the things that I do is I have been grading offensive and defensive coordinators. In fact, every coaching position in the NFL since 2010. So when I look at Fernando Mendoza, I look at him through the eyeballs of what has his offensive play caller done for his career, and I look up at the matchup of every defensive coordinator he's going against, because there's some games where he has a higher odds of throwing for 300 yards. There are some games on the road or at home against certain defensive coordinators, he has a better odds of throwing an interception, throwing a touchdown. So when I'm looking at these numbers, I'm not just throwing a dart
it is actually projecting exactly how many yards a guy is going to have. But with these, like I said, I'm just taking all the rookie numbers and aggregating them, which is a separate thing altogether. So we start talking about yards, right? Yeah. And in his draft class, in his peer group, the average guy, those 13 starts, gets you 2,871 yards. Now, I'm looking over here at the other screen of my computer, and some genius says that look at the over-under on his total yards. Plus 3,000 is a plus 135, right? And I'm saying the average in his class is 2,817. That is just under 50-50 on 3,000 yards. But then his next one is over 3,500 yards, plus 275. Well, if you look at the top 10 quarterbacks drafted in the last 13 years, top 10, their average is 37.91. So for you to bet over 3,500 yards for Mendoza and hit the over at plus 275, he is averaging nearly a top 10 total yards passing for quarterbacks in the last 13 years. So for me, the line in the sand, I'd love to see him average for his group. 36 guys, if he gets above 28, somewhere between 28 and 2,900 yards, if he exceeds 3,000, I think he's done a great job for his rookie year.
Overall, when you look at these numbers, when you look at Fernando, all the experience that he had in college, how good do you feel about that pick for the Raiders moving forward, knowing he's going to be the guy?
I look at quarterbacks really differently when I'm evaluating them. I have something called quarterback effect, right? Carrying the bags on Saturday. How much did you elevate the team? And so with Mendoza, he elevated Cal. Now people go, well, Cal just went 500. Cal sucked before him, right? They were way worse than that. He elevated them. He elevated Indiana. He has a ton of snaps. I mean, there's almost no quarterbacks not named Cam Newton that have started less than 24 games that were any good in the NFL. Okay, so he's got the start. That's why I say put him in there. My only hesitation with him, I do think he was the best value at quarterback in the draft. My only hesitation is his offensive coordinator at Indiana is named Mike Shanahan. And that guy has been good with everybody he's been given. Everybody, right? So people always say system offensive coordinator. No, I just say a good one.
Right.
Great NFL quarterbacks usually don't come from great college coordinators because they mask issues. But given where he's been, the talent around him, what he's been able to elevate, I think he was the best risk at quarterback on the board at the time.
Dave Bartoo, Matrix, EdgeAI.com with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. Another guy that is very exciting and we've talked a lot about here on the show, and looking at your charts, looks like he's ranked really high when it comes to the safeties. That's Trayden Stukes. I mean, he's really a corner, but it feels like he could be a guy that could play all over the field. What are your thoughts on Trayden Stukes? What are the numbers telling you there?
Oh, okay. Safety in the top of the second round is awesome. This is awesome value. See, because like Caleb Downs went 11 to the Cowboys. But here's the thing. Safeties taken in the first 16 picks, vastly, all but one, underperform late first and early second round safeties. Early second round safeties is literally the best value for safeties. And for him, here are some of his benchmarks we're going in. I expect him to play in every single game. Okay? In his peer group, he starts about 10 of them. So I'll over-under for me, if he's got it, if he starts before game number 8 and finishes out the season, that's above average. Okay? So that's creating more draft value. Line in the sand for tackles. In his peer group, the number one tackler, 118 tackles at safety, drafted in the last 13 years. But his peer group average is 62. So for me, once he hits about 60, 70 tackles, now he's become above average safety value. Anything more than one interception is awesome. Anything more than one forced fumble is awesome. But for me, if he exceeds, once he gets into double-digit starts and he starts getting into that 70, 80, once he hits 85 tackles, now he has first-round value. He starts hitting 80 tackles. That is a first-round value in the second round. So I am really interested to see how Trayden performs and gets into the game by midseason.
You know, the funny thing is we started hearing his name really late in the draft process. And I know he's on the team's, radars way before ours, but he just seemed like a guy that all of a sudden right before the draft, people started talking more about Stukes. And then the Raiders were able to swoop him in the second round. It seemed like a hell of a value.
Oh, I think it was great value. I love safeties in the top half of the second round. They really, really perform. And as a Raider fan, if I'm kind of like taking preseason notes, like I said, over 10 starts, over 70 tackles. He hits 80-plus tackles. That is absolutely draft gold if he hits over 80 tackles as second-round safety.
Nice. Dave Bartoo is with us here. Raider Nation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. A guy that I'm very intrigued by that doesn't have a whole lot of football experience is Keyron Crawford. Saw a little bit of him last night. They had a Behind the Shield really cool episode that the Raiders put out and got to know him a little bit more just by watching that. But what are you seeing from Keyron Crawford? I'm hearing that he is a steal of the draft there in the third round.
Oh, now here's where, when you look back at his college game, okay, here's something that the fans really don't pay attention to. Auburn last year wasn't any good, right? Hugh Freeze gets fired, but here's what people overlooked. It was a top 20 scoring efficiency defense, and they have one of the best defensive coordinators, DJ Durkin, in college football, or at least in the SEC. So I love drafting guys that came from units on underrated programs, but the unit really excelled, and this is exactly that. Auburn defense was really good last year, even though the team as a whole. So a lot of people go, you drafted a dude from Auburn. That guy's probably not very good. No, the offense sucked. The defense didn't. So, but look at the expectations. This is a third-round edge rusher, and now he's in the third-round peer group, right? Okay. And the expected number of starts as a third-round edge rusher is barely one start. Not going to start a lot of games. So right. if he's starting out of the gate, he's either special or you're very thin at edge. Now, here's where the numbers are very, very different, though, is number of games played. His peer average is 14. So I think for him, you're going to see him in a lot of second and third down packages. He won't be a starter at the beginning of the year. He may not be a starter all year, but don't let that be a downer. Guys in his pick range, basically his compensation range, don't get a lot of starts. So I really think the key thing here is the question of, is he good enough to start, or is the defensive edge too thin to start? Either way, focus on that games played. If he gets 14, 15, 16 games played, stays healthy, and he pops, gosh, all he has got to do with those numbers. So if you look at his peer group, he starts getting into 3-4 sacks. That is tremendous value. Any forced fumble, value. So for me at this position, it's all about how many games can he go in there and hold his own as he builds himself towards a starting edge rusher.
How much is it going to help that he has such a high ceiling? Because as he even said, he's still learning the game.
Well, something that's subjective.
I respect that.
I respect that. Look at these guys are all super athletes. These are all top 1% of 1% of 1%. Guess what? Sorry, everybody has a hella high ceiling. Mostly what differentiates guys at this level is not necessarily the athleticism. It's what's between the ears. What's your game IQ? What's your game motor? You first in, you last out. I don't care what you think your ceiling is. I want to see K-Ron first one in the gym, last one off the field kind of guy. I like it. Yeah. But the most important thing, stay healthy. Stay healthy and keep moving it forward. And like I said, if you get quality starts off of an edge rusher out of the third round, quality starts. If he starts stacking, once he hits that second sack, he's already plus value. Wow. At the third round. I know a lot of people go, oh, no, he's got to have a lot of sacks. No, he doesn't. The average number, there have been 32 guys drafted. 32 guys drafted in the third round in the last 13 years. They have less than 40 sacks combined, those 32 guys on the edge. So once he hits that second sack, once he hits that second start, man, this guy is great value. And if it's more than that, let's say that ceiling plays out and this becomes a full-time starter and a guy that you can count on for 6, 8, 10 sacks, woo, that is draft gold in the third round, dude.
No doubt, no doubt. Hey, man, you're spitting gold right now, man. This is fantastic stuff. Dave Bartoo is with us, MatrixEdgeAI.com here on Raider Nation Radio 920. I was fired up about Stukes. I was also fired up about Trey Zune, the offensive lineman that they got from Texas A&M. Peer group pick 65 through 100, interior lineman. What are you reading about him? What are you seeing with him?
Yeah, I think right now, what is he, second string? Is he number 2 on the depth chart, left guard? Or is he looking to be a starter for you guys?
I think he's going to be a starter, but he's also like working out at every single position that they have on that offensive line.
Man, the only thing I love more than healthy guys is guys that can play multiple positions, especially interior linemen. God, that versatility is just great. So here's what I'm looking for with Trey. Not an immediate impact starter, guy who plays a lot, right? I mean, his peer group, when you get picked in the third round, offensive line, you should be playing a lot of games. His peer average is 15, right? Even though there's been 43 guys picked in the third round, offensive linemen, interior offensive linemen, the average number of games played is 15. So as long as he's healthy, I think he's in every game. Where he starts, if he's going to be a starter, I anticipate him being a starter somewhere between Game 4 and Game 7 because his peer group averages 11 starts, right? So okay. 11 minus 17, that's like Game 6. So for Trey, listen for the buzz, week 4, week 5, week 6, depending on your depth of O-line and injuries and so forth. But I think if he's that guy and he can start, I bet you he's going to start somewhere between Game 5 and Game 7 based on historical numbers.
He had a lot of starts, and he was at the left tackle position at Texas A&M. But in the SEC, Dave, and you cover college football, that is nothing to shake a stick at. How much do you think that's going to help prepare him for this level?
Something big, fast, and athletic. I don't care where you play. Texas A&M, Texas Gulf Coast, Texas State. I don't really care about that. If you got the athleticism, you figure out the speed at some point, right? You got it or you don't. Here's one of the things, though, I like about Trey. He was the number 1 offensive lineman, basically. One of them in Texas A&M's best offense they've had this century. Okay? Right. They had a young offensive coordinator, and that team thrived in offense last year. They had a running quarterback. They kept him clean. So I like what he did for a program that has never been there. This is the kind of guy that helped elevate that offensive line to produce the best offense A&M has had in 25-plus years. So that part of it I absolutely love. The fact that that he was at A&M and in the SEC, okay, yeah, maybe that helps a little bit, but big, fast, strong guys figure out how to be bigger, faster, stronger guys in the NFL. Again, between the ears, do they have the motivation? He's got the body. He's got the strength. He can keep up with these guys. Can he study and learn the game at the level you hope him to be that starter?
Dave Bartoo is with us here at Raider Nation Radio 920 on Necessary Roughness. All right, I'm excited about this one. We'll close out with this one. This feels like, and it was, a steal by the Raiders in the 4th round. They traded up to the number 1 spot in the 4th round to get Jamad McCoy, the cornerback out of Tennessee. First-round talent, but we know the injuries had him drop all the way to the 4th round. What can you tell me about him, and really, how do the numbers in the peer group adjust for a guy like him that's only dropped to the 4th round because of injury?
It's hard to tell, right? Because this guy could go out and injure himself first day of practice, right? The injury's always over his head. That's just the game, right? But here's what we're trying to do when we're trying to steal a guy like this. To me, I'm trying to steal starts. Now, is he number 1 on the depth chart yet as a starter?
Not yet, no.
Okay. So as a Raider fan, here's what I'm looking for. If I can steal more than a couple starts out of this guy in a season, that's a good draft value, okay? Because here his peer group, on average, rookie year, okay, and we're talking 234 different DBs in what round is it? Day 3. Okay, 234 DBs. The average number of starts you're getting out of this guy is 1. Wow. 1 in their rookie year. Okay, so now if this guy turns 2 starts, awesome. 3, 4. If he starts, right, if he's first-round talent and he starts double-digit games and stays healthy, oh, phew, that is just tasty. Seriously, it is just absolutely tasty. And that's why in 4th, 5th, 6th round, I do like the reaches on the potential because realistically, nothing's guaranteed at this level. and we don't expect anything out of him. I don't expect him to start. I look at these numbers. I'm like, okay, if McCoy starts 1 or 2 games because somebody got hurt, cool. That's a little bit of depth. If this guy's good enough to be a regular starter in the NFL, that is an absolute steal by the Raiders front office.
Man, you got everyone pumped up, man. You got Raider Nation fired up, and yeah, Jamad McCoy. I had Kirk Morrison tell me that's like getting Nnamdi Asomugha, who was a first-round cornerback, for the price of like a Jacorian Bennett that the Raiders selected in the 4th round. Like, that is huge, right?
Well, we'll see how it plays out.
Right.
I'm a pessimist. I'm a data guy, so I'm a pessimist at heart. So I don't like getting too far out over my skis. But I will tell you, right, based on everything that you're saying and the hope that he is a starter, I'm saying the draft value relative to what he could produce is very, very extreme.
No, we're excited. We're excited. We're fired up by everything that you just dropped on us, man. The knowledge has been fantastic. MatrixEdgeAI.com, Matrix Analytical. You got it all covered. Man, tell everyone where to get some more information if they're fired up, and I know they are, what they could do to get some more of your work.
No, okay. Number one, tune into this show. Because this ain't going to be the last time. You can't even keep me off the show. I'm hitting you again, okay? We're going to do prop bets. We're going to do QBX, play calling behavior. We're going to do all sorts of fun stuff.
Yes.
But everything NFL, you can go to MatrixEdgeAI.com. I have set subscriptions for everybody at $5. Everything I come up with in the NFL, and most of it's nothing you guys have ever seen, all 32 teams. And, heck, I'll even take your feedback and create something new. Go ahead and subscribe there. On Twitter, follow me, CFB Matrix. My messages, direct messages are open. Hit me up with any ideas. And if you got a question or a comment, text line, 971-217-8419. I'd love to hear your feedback, good, bad, or indifferent.
All good, man. All good. Fantastic stuff. I told everyone when the show started, me and you have been working on this, putting this together for a while now, and that they were going to love this. So you did not disappoint. You never do. Great stuff, and you're right. This will definitely not be the last time, man. We'll make this a regular for sure.
Love you, brother. Can't wait to be on again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, man. Fantastic stuff. Have a fantastic weekend. Dave Bartoo right there. That was great. Wow. I told you. I tried to tell y'all yesterday. I told you at the beginning it was going to be fantastic, and I see all the feedback coming in on the text line right now at 702-365-9200. Dave Bartoo, Matrix Analytical, on Twitter at CFB Matrix. That's at CFB MATRIX. Just when Will said, your boy Dave said he has a hella high ceiling, and I'm dead and pumped at the same time. LOL, great guest, great interview. Thanks, fam. This guy definitely needs a weekly segment on your show, Q. Oh, you thought he wasn't going to get one? You thought he was? Man, I'm telling you, no doubt. Me and Dave go way back. I promise you. We used to talk college football every single week when I was in Central Texas, and we talked a lot of Big 12. We talked to all kind of different college football. So I've been rocking with him for a long time, but obviously it's been a while since I've been in Central Texas. So to be able to bring him to this show and take it to a whole nother level, it made all of us smarter. Because, I'm not the most analytical guy, but, man, even I was able to follow along with what he was breaking down. And sounds like John Spytek and company, who have upgraded their analytics in the front office. And you remember when they were bringing in all those other staff members. Remember Cynthia Freeland, who joins the show? She's like, oh, man, so-and-so just got added to the roster, man. That's great. They're leaning into analytics even more. This is all on the same page, and it seems like that they were all in the same conversation with everything that Dave was breaking down, and those are just a handful of the rookies, from Mendoza to Stukes to Crawford to Zune, right? And then, of course, McCoy as well. Really, really good stuff from my guy Dave. Well, we'll hear from you. We'll get your feedback next, 702-365-9200. We threw the question out there about Father's Day weekend. How did your father fuel your Raider fandom or sports fandom in general? How do you influence your kids? And if you did watch Behind the Shield Episode 1, what rookie got you most fired up and why? Let us know your thoughts. Mendoza, Stukes, Crawford, those guys were all featured. We'll hear from you next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
I got a chance to spend some time with the great Ron Wolf when I was in Cleveland, and he was telling us, just take good football players. Don't force guys up the board. Don't force positions of need, because eventually you're going to need the better football player, and you're going to want the better football player. And if you force a guy, a round or two too early, then they're going to walk in the building and you're going to go, well, we took him too early because we needed him, versus just taking the good football player.
Right now, we're doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
As we come in, we hear the sounds of Raiders GM John Spytek talking about just take good football players, right? How many times have we seen the Raiders draft someone because they needed that position and they drafted them too high and they didn't pan out, right? Like he said, at some point, we're going to need really good football players. It sounds so easy. It sounds so, of course, why wouldn't you do that? But more times than not, teams, especially undisciplined teams, don't do that. The Raiders are trying to be that disciplined team and continue to draft really good players. And as we spoke with Dave Bartoo in the last segment, broke down some of the analytics behind some of the Raiders draft picks, it seems like they've got a handful of really good players, and we just went through a few of them. But with everything that he dropped on us, all the knowledge was pretty fantastic, and the text line really blew up. A lot of folks fired up. Andre was fired up. Finally, real Raiders talk this afternoon. Thanks, Q. So Dre was all happy. Just when Will was fired up, and we do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200. We will hear from our guy, the Money Man. He's fired up. Money Mitch, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
What's popping, Q? Happy Father's Day. Happy Juneteenth. And I hope you have a great vacation. I'll be thousands of miles from you, okay? We'll be on separate continents, all right? Be safe.
Sounds good. Appreciate you.
Kyle, you ready? Go ahead. Say it, Kyle. My grandson's here fine. Come on, say it. Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.
And happy Father's Day, Q.
Happy Father's Day, Q.
That's well done. Well done. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And he has to be a Raiders, USC, and a Dodger fan. That's it. That's the law. My dad my father never discussed football. He just was into it. He's more of a baseball guy. He did okay, maybe a little minor leagues. He was in the same outfit in the Korean War. He got lucky. Just past World War II. In the early 50s, he was in the same regiment with Norm Cash. Norm Cash, he played 19 years with the Tigers. It didn't end well. Well, we all go, but his was pretty sad and was kind of young. Norm Cash, rest in peace. Of course, I'm going to say Mendoza, because I think he'll be better than those quarterbacks that will be coming out next year. I say 10 to 12 in the first 2 rounds next year. He'll be just as good as any of them. That's my prediction. I hope he can start from the first possession of game 1, but that's just me. But I'm also interested in Crawford. I wonder if he's related to the Crawford USC defensive man. He's 6'4", 285. He's like all muscle on. I think he's going to be drafted. I think he's going to be good. His last name was Fountain, but he changed it. I wonder if they're related, but I guess it's kind of a common name. How to get that in there. Right? Hope we get the. And one more thing. Did you hear about what the Major Leagues, they want to do? That you got to be 20 years old, a sophomore in college, not to be drafted. That is so ridiculous. I can understand that being football, playing 3 years of college sports. Because it's like a minor league for football. It's a rough sport. But they want to take that away from the baseball players. You were good in baseball. That's with incentives. Not everybody is meant for college. That was always great. Being drafted out of high school, that's a very good thing on your resume for anything. It's a real ego boost. It's just sad. They're just trying to save money. That's what it all comes down to.
Yep. It is. Absolutely. Hey, buddy. Hey, great call, man. Great call. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. Hey, you're right about and have a happy Father's Day weekend as well. But you're right. No, I mean, it is Major League Baseball trying to save money. They're going to save more than $150 million annually by not allowing those high schoolers, making them ineligible for the domestic draft and institute an international draft. And they've got the draft is going to be shortened from 12 to 20 hard-slotted rounds. The amateur signing bonus pool will nearly be halved to $200 million. So, yeah, it's all about money. Dollar bill, y'all. Money Mitch, you know how that goes. So I definitely appreciate the call. Shout out to your grandchild, man. That was really cool. Appreciate the shout out as well. Speaking of shout outs, let's go to Sacramento, California. Talk to our guy, Raider Greg. Raider Greg, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Q, my brother, thank you for taking my call. First and foremost, I want to tell you happy Father's Day, brother.
Yay, happy Father's Day to you too, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. That was a great call. I mean, a great guest that you had there, man. I love how he broke down the statistics of the average amount of games that the people in that class of draft in that range, how many games they play. 13. That's actually a higher number than I thought it would be. When you first started talking. So that made a lot of sense. It really, and I'm really with that. I'm gonna get to the first part and come back to that. But for me. My Raider fandom started young. My favorite uncle, he started the Sacramento Raiders. That was his Pop Warner team out here.
Nice.
And since I was a kid, I was always on the sideline from games with those Raider jerseys on. And Charles Woodson, that was bred into me. Was my favorite player growing up. Even watched him from Michigan because my uncle was also a Michigan fan. So watching that number 2 made me have number 2 coming up all the way through Pop Warner and high school football. So it's literally been in my life my whole life, man. And with my kids, they know. I told them, as long as you're under this roof, you're a Raider fan.
That's
First
right.
time you can be something else when you leave.
That's
right. Know that. You can ask them. They 6, 2, and 1, and they each one of them, bro, has a baby picture when they were first born. When any of my in-laws or my family members or whatever, when they buy onesies, they bought Raider onesies, bro. They all got the pictures, man, so they already know what time it is. So I start with that. Second of all, man, I'm really high on Keyron Crawford. Reason being, one of my cousins, man, he played defensive end, and he always would, study these guys. He told me about Mac. He told me about Max. When he was telling me about Mac at Buffalo, at least when I looked at him, I was like, okay, this guy looks like a mutant, even though I hadn't heard of him, but I was like, okay. And he hit on that. He told me about Max at Eastern Michigan. I'm like, who's this scrawny guy? He's like, man, I'm telling you, his motor, and so this year when we took Keyron Crawford, he was the first one I called, and he told me, he's like, man, I'm telling you. He's like, this guy is a dog right here. He's like, if this guy can hit, he's like, I haven't led you wrong. So I'm going with Keyron Crawford because he's been 2 for 2, and I doubted him both times. So I'm going with my cousin say, and then to hear David say the same thing, have high on him, man. I'm really high on Keyron Crawford. But lastly, we'll go back to Fernando Mendoza, man. I really agree with him. I'm looking at the first 2 games, Dolphins and Chargers. I feel like, you brought in Rico, who has 4 Super Bowls as an offensive line coach. So just that alone and the whole new coaching staff, the scheme that's better for the athletes that are on that offensive line, I believe that the offensive line is going to be together. And with those 2 games, those should be the tune-up games. I see Fernando coming in week 3, man. And I agree with him. If you took him at number 1, which we all were happy for, he's got the brain, he's 6'5", he's got the experience, he's got the winning pedigree, I don't see him sitting out. We already know what Kirk Cousins is. We're very appreciative. He's a great backup to have. Get him out there for the first 2 games to make sure that offensive line is what we think it is. And I see him coming in week 3 for the Saints, man. But happy Father's Day to you. Happy Juneteenth to you and the rest of Raider Nation. God bless you and God bless Raider Nation. Have a good one, brother.
Hey, you do the same. Great call on this Aloha Friday. Raider Greg right there in Sacramento. And, yeah, I mean, look, I've been very adamant of, hey, I'll be patient. Whenever they get Fernando in, that's cool. I love what Dave said. He said if he can carry the bags on Saturday, he can carry the bags on Sunday. If he couldn't carry no bags on Saturday, then he don't have no business trying to carry no bags. And then when he brought in Ty Simpson, he's like, he didn't carry nothing, right, for 12 Saturdays in a row. I think and that's why I like to bring guests on, because I don't just bring guys on that just share my same thoughts, because that's boring, right? I like to hear other points of views. Once I heard Dave break it down from the angle that I'm not necessarily looking at, and the way that he broke it down in peer groups and all that, I mean, it really does make some more sense. I mean, again, I've been talking about wait till week 14, right? Go ahead and wait till the bye week and slide him in there. But the dude carried the bags on Saturday. At some point, you're going to have to let him carry the bags on Sunday, and he feels like he can do it pretty early on. He said, 13 and a half starts is what he was looking at the numbers-wise. So that's right there in that range that you're talking about, Raider Greg, around week 4. Thanks for the call. Do appreciate you. Let's go out to the phone lines again. Talk to our guy, Shields Up. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind, Shields Up?
Hey, Q. How you doing, man? How's things?
Hey, man, it's Aloha Friday. It's a good thing, man. It's Father's Day weekend. I'm about to go on vacation. It don't get no better than this.
Absolutely not. I'm happy for you, man, and I want to wish you and all my RaiderNation brothers, man, happy Father's Day. Have a great weekend. I hope everybody celebrates all safe and sound and everything else. And I just want to give you a little story about my Raider awakening. I'm from Connecticut originally, but I lived in Seattle, Washington for about 4 years. And up to that point, I really didn't have a football team, but I went to the Kingdome, the old Kingdome, when they had Jim Zorn, and my brother took me, and when they were playing the Raiders, and that was a fierce rivalry back in the day when Seattle was in the AFC West. And, boy, when the Raiders came out in that silver and black, I jumped up to high heaven, and my brother grabbed me, he pushed me down and said, boy, sit down. You're in Seattle. And I looked at him and said, I don't care. I love this team coming out, man.
Nice.
So that was my Raider. That was my Raider awakening, Q.
That's awesome.
And ever since then, like I said, it's all been about the Shield. I tried to convert my son. I tried everything, voodoo, magic, blankets, jerseys, everything, man. It just didn't work. So, but ironic it was, my mother was a Seattle Seahawks fan, so he ended up being a Seahawks fan. So, so here I am, getting a Raider fan, becoming a Raider fan against Seattle, and he becomes a Seattle fan. But yeah, that's my little history of becoming a Raider fan. And listen, man, as far as what's going on, I just love it, man. I love every angle, everything that's going on in camp. It's all coming together. I see no real negatives right now. Just no injuries, no drama. Let's get to training camp, all healthy, and let's just put this thing all together, man. Let's just put these pieces together and start the season out strong, man. We have a little stretch here before training camp, so let's, like I said, no injuries, no drama, and everybody have a happy Father's Day. Q, you have a great vacation. You deserve it. You run a great show. Love your show. Shields up. I'm out, Q.
I appreciate you. Fantastic stuff. Great story too. That was fun, man. We had a lot of fun with that, and I guess you can't win them all, right? But yeah, hey, have a happy Father's Day to you as well, and again, enjoy this Aloha Friday as we roll on here. Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. Do I have time to get to one more, Ari, or I can get one more, right? I know my man's been patiently waiting. Let me get one more.
Let's get it.
All right, let's get Raider Mike here. Raider Mike on this Aloha Friday. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Q.
There he is.
What's up,
Aloha,
man?
brother.
How you doing, my brother?
Oh, man, I'm good, man.
I love this subject. By the way, Shields up. Nice story. Anyway, before I get to my how it happened, I think I said it a few years ago, but I'll say it again. Anyway, USA, baby. USA. Oh, yeah. That was beautiful, what they just did.
Yeah.
So I've watched the World Cup since I was a kid. First one I really in Italy in '86. So anyway, I love this team. We've never been this good. Q. I don't know if you're a soccer guy or not, but I played it. I was all conference. Hey, this team is good, really good. So let's go USA. How I became a my dad was he was over in Nam. My mom divorced him when I was like 3, and she moved back to Oaktown and got remarried. We lived in a huge hippie mansion on a high street. My grandfather, the year before, gave me a Niners helmet. I'm like, okay, I'm almost 4 when I get this. That's cool. It's all right, I guess. Whatever. 4.5. Your dad, he he literally takes that Niner helmet, smashes it to smithereens with a sledgehammer in front of me, lays a Raider helmet in front of me, and says that shouldn't have been. We're done here. No more Niner stuff. By the way, you hearing this Niner crap, Max, going to the Niners?
Nah, I'm not hearing none of that. I'm not hearing that. That's June rumors. June rumors.
Conjecture crap that I hate. What I love about what the Raiders are doing now is that there's nothing. There's nothing. We don't hear nothing. We just know Fernando is coming. We know Cousins is just as hungry. So I'm going to phase that noise out. I thought you might have something for me, Q. So I listen to you every day. No Max from the Niners, because that's not allowed. It's illegal in Oaktown or in Vegas now. It's illegal. No, don't want to hear it. No, they want to upset our apple cart. We're steady. We're moving the right direction. A lot of good things. I haven't seen the new Behind the Shield. I have to see it now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I have to see it. I can't wait, man. I mean, and I heard on that episode the Brady to Fernando introduction happens. Dude, as soon as I hang up, I mean, I've had a great sports day. Cam, hey, we took the ruse out. It was a rip out down there, Cam. Sorry, I got you. I have never messed with my boy Cam down in Australia. We took you out, bro. God, that team is big. I'll give the Australians that. They're big. There were some big boys out there. So anyway, to the USA, let's go. There's my Raiders story. Yeah, I was forced into it quickly. Started buying all the cards when I was like 4 or 5. And I never stopped loving the Raiders. They're my team, man. Black and silver, baby. Shields up, baby. So you saw those colors, man. Yeah, go ahead and kill that gold, red, white helmet right in front of me with a sledgehammer pop. I'm a Raider for life. So anyway, love the show, Q. Anyway, Raiders on up, bro. Peace.
There he goes. Raider Mike checking out some World Cup action earlier today. And, yeah, shout out to the USA. And, they shut out Cam's Australian club. But we shout out to Cam. Cam's our guy, Cam. Woo, Cam, it's all love, so we do appreciate that. But the World Cup does make it a little bit different, a little bit special. So they got the 2-0 victory. If you didn't tune in and check it out, that's exactly what they did. And, I mean, man, you off of High Street in Oakland, you got to be a Raider fan, man. It's funny when he mentioned High Street. I hadn't even heard High Street in a long time. I mean, I think of all these different streets in Oakland. I think about all these different spots that I've been to, and I don't know why High Street just hadn't crossed my mind in such a long time. But, man, as soon as he said it, it just took me back. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that block. It's a real special block. What do the kids say? If you know, you know. If you know, you know. I'll just go ahead and throw it out there like that and trust and believe. Your boy knows. So there you go. Really good stuff from Raider Mike. Appreciate that. Really great calls in general, man, from Shields Up to Raider Mike, Money Mitch, of course, my guy Raider Greg in Sacramento. Really, really good stuff, man. Keep that feedback coming at 702-365-9200. How about this one? Rude Rube in Stockton, Cali. That's the 209 representing right there. He said on the text line, Happy Aloha Friday, Q. My father was a bartender at a bar called the Viking Lounge in Fremont, California. Many Raiders players frequented his bar, including Stabler, Matuzak, Biletnikoff, and the list goes on and on and on. He often received Raider tickets from them. So I got to go to Raider games since the late 60s. Dad was a 49er fan, but took me to the Raider games because they were free. LOL. I made sure I married a woman who was a Raiders fan first and foremost. No house divided here. My wife of 39 years and I raised all 4 of our kids at the Shield, which they really had no choice. We were PSL season ticket holders since 95 until they moved to Vegas. I will be accompanying my cousins from Hawaii to a Raiders game this year. We'll definitely come see you at the Torch. That's Rude Rube in Stockton, California. Really good stuff, and that's funny. When me and my wife met before we were obviously married, I asked her, she was, Texas through and through, and I was thinking she was a Cowboy fan. I was like, hey, what football team are you in? Well, my family, they're all Cowboy fans, but I don't really have a football team. I was like, done. That's good enough for me. You can be manipulated. You can be brainwashed. I'm good. I got this. No problem. I got this covered. So anyone knows, like I said, if you know, you know. She's repping the silver and black on the daily, that is for sure. Really good stuff, man. Great story. Do appreciate that on this Aloha Friday. Keep that feedback coming to 702-365-9200. Tyler Dragon joins us next. RaiderNation Radio 920.
Doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke. Doing car care right.
in terms of what we've seen so far, I've seen a bunch of guys that have competed and been about the right things and about the process. We've had really great attendance for OTAs this year, so I think we're all really proud of that. Obviously, Clint's done a great job of keeping them engaged and energized at a time of the year where it's not real football, so I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I'm happy with the way they worked, with the way that the new guys have assimilated into what we're trying to build here and added to it, and same thing with the rookies.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
And here we go, kicking off hour number 3 of the show on this Aloha Friday. Last hour of the show for the week. Last hour of the show for some time. While I go ahead and take a little bit of vacation, get a little bit of R&R, and get to hear those Aloha sounds up close and personal, and look forward to that. Trust and believe that. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports is coming up in a matter of minutes. We'll scatter shoot all things NFL. Have had some really good guests on the show already, from Vinny Bonsginore to Dave Bartoo. And as mentioned, Tyler Dragon will join us in a hot minute. We do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200. We've been hearing all afternoon long, text line and phone line. How did your father fuel your Raiders fandom or sports fandom in general? How do you influence your kids? And if you did get an opportunity to watch Behind the Shield episode number 1, what rookie got you most fired up? Fernando Mendoza, Trayton Stukes, or Keyron Crawford, and why? Those are really the guys that were featured. Let us know your thoughts. Before we get to Tyler Dragon, let's go ahead and go out to Hampton and talk to our guy, Larry. Big Larry, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, aloha, Q. How do you do?
I'm fantastic, brother. How are you doing on this Aloha Friday?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Me and the wife we're listening to you, buddy. And I listen to you every day. I listen to the Locked On show. And you had me in tears this morning, buddy. I ain't kidding you. You bring memories. You have a gift, okay? And you were talking about that. Don't ever lose that. Feed it. Nurture it. But I just wanted to tell you happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
I'm a great-grandfather. And my father's a great-great-grandfather. He just turned 86 a week after you wished me happy birthday. He turned 86.
Nice.
So when you were talking this morning, you got me thinking about my great-grandfather. Here I am, a great-grandfather. Let's think about my great-grandfather, born in 1895, who I knew. And I loved that man with a passion. He used to take me fishing, and we loved to fish. And that was just beautiful. But the fandom part, that was all me.
Nice.
I was a Navy brat. My dad's a retired Master Chief Petty Officer. And we moved all over the place. So he was at Moffett Field. They put him there, and I was in school there in San Jose, Santa Clara Unified School District, whatever you want to call it. I went to 5 different schools there in about 4 years, and we was in Kmart because my mom worked at Kmart, and that's where we went. And they had one of them little boxes with a Raiders helmet in it, and a little shirt and pads and things. And it was, just like lightning bolt hit me.
Yeah.
That's how I became a Raiders fan.
Nice.
And I watched them, and my friend across the street, who's actually the one who taught me anything about football, was a Steelers fan. And he played quarterback. He was like the athlete in the neighborhood and everything. When we all get out there, and you get in the mud and dirt and just in the grass and just playing sandlot football and everything, he was always a quarterback and picked out his players, and the other guy picked out some players. And he was the only one that ever picked me, and then he worked with me, and he taught me to catch. He said, every time you see that ball, he says, think of it as $1 million. And he says, then you catch the ball. And I said, you damn skippy. And that was it. I was like, Blitzenkoff after that. I ain't kidding you. He was my hero. And that's who was playing back then. I'm serious. Them was the days. And I loved it when I saw Fernando in the video where he dabbed up Jim Plunkett and Freddie. That was beautiful, man. And I would love to see, like you, get them all. Get like Fernando. and make some kind of concept things where Fernando's interviewing the Hall of Famers and these legends.
Yeah.
And he gets to ask them, pick their brains. He says, well, what did you think before you went in there and that when you got the MVP in that Super Bowl in Super Bowl 11, Fred? And can you tell me? What were you thinking? How did you prepare? I would love to hear something like that.
That would be cool. That'd be real cool. Yep.
Bless you, Q. I thank you so much. You are such a gifted man. And bless you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Vacation. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Not only Aloha, but that's where I was born. Like I said, I'm a Navy brat.
Nice. Even better. Larry, great stuff, man. Great call. Thank you so much, my man. Enjoy your Father's Day weekend. Enjoy everything that you got cooking, man. That was a fantastic call. It really was. Great stories. And, man, I remember all those places that you're talking about, from Kmart to Moffett Field, obviously San Jose and Santa Clara. Spent a lot of time there as a young man in the Bay as well. So really, really good stuff, man. It's always good to hear from you, Larry. Thanks so much. Like I said, have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your Aloha Friday. Now, join us on the phone lines as promised. Ari's giving me the thumbs up. Is our guy Tyler Dragon from USA Today Sports. And Tyler, thanks so much for your time. We do appreciate you on this Aloha Friday. And when it comes to the NFL, the biggest story actually right now happens to be about a guy that's not in the NFL, but he's trying to get to the NFL. That's Brendan Sorsby, the quarterback that was supposed to play at Tech. He's not going to do that. Sports betting has been the situation. He's now taking his talent to the NFL supplemental draft. And from everyone that we've talked to all week long, it seems like, yeah, big deal, not a big deal. And to me, it just seems like it's kind of big. Like, is it not really as big of a deal as I guess I think it is?
It is an odd situation considering why he is in the supplemental draft and the ordeal that he put himself in, the self-imposed just gambling and mistakes that he was involved in. Now, he said he's learned from his mistakes. We're all human. Everybody deserves second chances, and everybody makes mistakes, but we shall see if he actually really does learn from his mistakes, and the future will tell that. But, I mean, when I look at the supplemental draft and teams that may be interested in him, I'm looking at teams that maybe have a veteran quarterback already established in place. Because when I look at Sorsby, he's not a quarterback that's going to start right away in the NFL. Yes, he has some tools, has some ability, and has some traits that translate to the NFL, but probably not next year and maybe not even the year after. So, I mean, one of the first teams that comes to mind is the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have Aaron Rodgers there starting, but you don't have a quarterback of the future. So maybe put him in place there. That's the team that I'm looking out for, that interested in him. But, yeah, it is. To answer your question, it is kind of odd with his everything that's surrounding Brendan Sorsby.
Right. I mean, with it being sports betting, and I know it's kind of one of those, it's damn near hypocritical because, sports betting's everywhere, sports books are everywhere, but yet, that's one of those big things that you just can't do, especially in the National Football League. And to me, it feels like it would be a slippery slope bringing them into your locker room, but it seems like these teams, or at least from the reports that we're hearing, they're more open to it than maybe us from the outside are looking at it.
Yeah, they are, because we've seen other players get caught with sports betting. Now, mind you, this was in college.
Right.
College, we look at them as still kids and still learning, still developing. So, yes, he made a mistake in college. He owned up to it, and he says that he's learned from it. So time will tell if that is actually the case, but he deserves the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, he's human. Everybody deserves the second chance. Everybody makes mistakes. So I think it is good that he's going to get a chance in NFL, most likely. It's just he needs to be on his P's and Q's, and he can't make definitely not the same mistake again. And he has to put his best foot forward for here on and here on out if he wants to have an NFL career and wants to change the chapter and have a better chapter than the one he ended college football with.
And I know you talk to a lot of different people around the league. What are you hearing as far as compensation? What do you think teams are really going to be willing to give up to get this guy and bring him into their organization?
I'm hearing a mid to a late round pick, and most people that I've spoken to say it's probably going to be a late round pick, and they would be surprised but not shocked if it was a mid round pick. So 6th, 7th round. I'm expecting. I don't see a second or third that some people have floated out there. To me, it's most likely going to be like a 6th or 7th round pick, maybe even a 5th. But if I had to put, and this is probably a bad choice of words, put my money on it, it would be a 6th or 7th.
Yeah, that's too soon, Tyler. Too soon. Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports, is with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. I'm glad you said a later round pick, because I said early on, I said, okay, I'm not starting any earlier than a 4th round pick. But, then we start hearing ideas of maybe a 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick. Is a team crazy enough to put a 1st round pick? And I'm thinking, this is still the supplemental draft, but okay, that makes more sense to me. I'm with you on that, a later round pick. That's going to be something that I think could be a lot more realistic. I did want to ask you about a few players around the league, guys that really had breakout years last year, like George Pickens, who has the franchise tag there in Dallas. He signed it, nothing to see here. He said, hey, I'm going to be there. He's excited to get that $27 million. Do you think he could repeat that, have a repeat performance, or do you think that was one of those one-offs that we see sometimes from players when they're in a contract year?
I do believe he can have a repeat performance, because when you look at the way the Cowboys are constructing their roster, they're going to be a pass-heavy football team. They do have a Javonte Williams at running back, but he's not an every-down workhorse back. The way the Dallas Cowboys are going to win football games, especially offensively, is to throw the football to CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Now, do I expect George Pickens to outpace CeeDee Lamb again as far as receiving yards and catches? Probably not, but I can see him being a 1,000-yard receiver and having 70-plus catches, and the Cowboys, again, having 2 1,000-yard receivers like they did last season. So I think he can do it, especially he's going to be motivated to have a long-term contract after that franchise tag. So I see it happening again.
So with that being said, if he does break out and have a big-time season, does Dallas pay him? Do they give him a real contract extension? Do they hit him with the franchise tag, or do they decide to trade either him or CeeDee Lamb, which I would obviously think is going to be Pickens and not Lamb?
They better pay him because I happen to know his agent, David Mulligetta, and he's not going to take a discount, especially when he did everything the right way thus far. He reported to mandatory minicamp. He said he's going to play in the franchise tag. He's not creating a distraction. He's being a model teammate right now. We'll see what he does on the field. But if he has another breakout year, I know how David Mulligetta negotiates, and that's who represents George Pickens. He is not going to want a discount for his client. So the Cowboys, they're going to play a slippery slope, because if he does have another stellar campaign, you're possibly looking at 2 receivers that are making $30+ million annually, similarly to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, that's going to be big money tied up in that position. Of course, Dak Prescott's getting big money as well at the quarterback position there in Big D. Again, Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports, is with us here. Raider Nation Radio 920. How about a guy that didn't do so well last year? Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver in Jacksonville. He was a guy that his rookie year everyone's talking about and singing his praises, how great he was, and then it looked like he fell off a cliff last year. You think he has a chance to bounce back this year? What do you think's going on with him?
Yeah, it was interesting. I feel like he struggled with drops and just inconsistent performances, and you don't really put that to him, because his college tape, his rookie season, it was some of the best rookie wide receiver play we've seen in a while. But last year, I mean, you look at Parker Washington was probably the Jaguars' number one receiver. Now, I think it could be a one-off. You can say maybe a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
But overall, his talent is there. I know they had a new coaching staff and a new system implemented in their system, but you would expect more from Brian Thomas, especially for a Jaguars team. It's a fringe playoff team, probably AFC wildcard team, and they need that bona fide number one receiver if they want to compete in the AFC South, especially winning the division again, in a division that's going to be extremely competitive when you look at the likes of the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts.
I'm glad you mentioned the Houston Texans. I did want to ask you about C.J. Stroud. What we saw at the end of last year and in the playoffs did not look like very good C.J. Stroud. Obviously, it's big, Tyler. I mean, he's talking about contracts. I mean, he's looking at a contract as well. He needs to get that extension. How does he bounce back this year? Because, again, last thing we saw from C.J. Stroud didn't look very good.
Man, there was probably not one NFL player I was disappointed in more than C.J. Stroud last season. And I say that because the Texans had a Super Bowl caliber defense, and all they needed C.J. Stroud to do is pretty much play like Trent Dilfer.
Right, yeah.
Like be a game manager, don't turn the ball over, make timely plays, be accurate with the football, and he could not do that, especially in the playoffs. And you saw a Texans team that could beat the Seahawks, could beat the Rams, could beat anybody with that defense, but they just needed their offense to just do their part. Mm-hmm. And because of C.J. Stroud and his turnovers and just inaccurate play, they just could not do it. Now, the talent is there. We saw it. He had a record-breaking rookie season. He just has regressed a little bit, and part of it's mental, part of it's mechanics, part of it's changing in the coaching staff with the offensive coordinator, and offensive line as well. So hopefully the Texans realize that. Word out of Houston is C.J. Stroud's had a really good offseason. He's worked on his craft, so you would hope that he can start trending in a positive direction instead of regressing the regression that he's done since his rookie year. So I have high expectations for the Texans, but they just need C.J. Stroud to just perform that he did the way his rookie year when he won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with him at the end of that season in the playoff run. I mean, that defense, you're spot on. That was championship defense, and he couldn't get out of his own way. And I was wondering what in the hell's going on with C.J. Stroud, but we'll see if he bounces back this year. Again, Tyler Dragon is with us here. RaiderNation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. All right, there's two new quarterbacks in two new places. They're not new quarterbacks, but they're in new spots. Tua's there in Atlanta now, obviously competing with Michael Penix, and Kyler Murray's in Minnesota competing with J.J. McCarthy. I'll start in Atlanta because I think that's a better competition. I think Kyler Murray's going to win it in Minnesota, but how do you think that dynamic plays out in the ATL between Tua and Michael Penix?
So right now, Tua has the leg up because Michael Penix Jr. is still rehabbing his knee injury, and so Tua is beginning all the reps during the off-season program. But if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I try to put Michael Penix in the best position to win that job because he is going to be the future if he is who they think they are. Now, they drafted him for the top 10 pick. Yes, that was a prior regime. But the way he throws the football, the way his arm strength is better than Tua at this point. And Tua, yes, he's an accurate passer, and if his first read is there, he's as good as anybody. What happens with Tua is if the teams take away his first read, he kind of panics, gets happy feet, throws turnovers, or tries to get down to avoid the sack. And if he gets sacked, we all know his injury history. Yeah. So that's Tua in a nutshell. I don't think that is sustainable long term. Yes, you can catch lightning in a bottle with Tua. You run the right plays. All the plays are successful. The first read is open. But when teams start to get a bead on you, teams scout you, and they know what you're trying to do, and when Tua has to kind of play off script, that is not there. With Penix, you have that a little bit, and you have better arm strength. So maybe he's not as accurate as Tua, but long-term success and sustainable success, I think, is Michael Penix Jr.
So what do you think about Kyler Murray in Minnesota? Is J.J. McCarthy going to be looking for a new place to live sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. When you look at Kyler Murray, he's a far more superior quarterback than J.J. McCarthy. And then, not to mention the off-script ability, the playmaking ability, the dual threat aspect that Kyler Murray brings to the table. J.J. McCarthy cannot alter that. So, to me, it's easily Kyler Murray is going to win that job.
Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports, with us here at Raider Nation Radio 920 on Unnecessary Roughness. Just got a couple more questions for you, and I want to start with the Philadelphia Eagles, and we've seen the changes that they've made. A.J. Brown is now in New England, so let's start with A.J. real quick. What do you think A.J. Brown now brings to the New England Patriots as that, alpha, that number one wide receiver? Does that take the Patriots and I guess put them the same place that they were last year, a playoff team, potentially a Super Bowl team?
Man, I love what the Patriots have done surrounding Drake May. When you bring a Romeo Doubs in, who was probably a 1A, 1B receiver in Green Bay, and then you get A.J. Brown, who's certainly a number one X receiver. Now you supply Drake May with two legitimate pass catchers, and then you still have a Hunter Henry, a Keyshawn Butte, and a Stevenson in the backfield. I mean, if their collection of skill players, you can make an argument it's easily the best in the AFC East. And to me, the off-season moves that they've made overall put them, again, in front of the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. So I do expect them to win the division. Do I expect them to run the table in the AFC? Probably not. I still like a Baltimore Ravens. I like a Houston Texans. Denver Broncos, L.A. Chargers, they're all going to be in the mix, even the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Patriots, the AFC got better by and large as a whole, but I do expect the Patriots to win the division.
Well, let's close out with his former team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, they sent him to Philly. They addressed the wide receiver position in the draft and free agency as well. But they have another new offensive coordinator, and it seems like Jalen Hurts has a new offensive coordinator every single year. How do you think Jalen and the Eagles are going to adapt to their new OC? Are they going to have that opportunity to be that same Eagle team that we've seen year in and year out?
Well, it depends if the Eagles' offense can be more innovative, not as predictable. Can the Eagles run some plays that can get players open and not have Jalen Hurts just throw the ball on the outside numbers? So Sean Mannion, he has his work cut out for him, the Eagles' offensive coordinator. The good news is the Eagles should always still be a run-oriented team with Saquon Barkley, the best running back in football, especially when you lose your number one receiver from last year in A.J. Brown. So play behind Barkley, be a run-oriented football team. You even have a really good number two back in Tank Bigsby, and then let that set up the play-action pass to get a Devontae Smith. Mekhi Lemon, probably the best slot receiver in the draft. I think he's going to have a good rookie year in Philadelphia. You still have the playmakers minus an A.J. Brown, but if you just play behind Saquon, Tank Bigsby, yes, Jalen Hurts can run a little bit. That will set up the pass, but the pass needs to be more expansive, more innovative, and not just so basic and archaic. So Sean Mannion, he has his work cut out for him, but I think he can do it.
How much pressure is on Jalen Hurts this year to be that guy and really kind of, help them be dynamic like you're talking about?
So I think he has some pressure, but not as much pressure as a lot of people are putting on him because he's a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP. Let's not forget that. He has a Lombardi trophy and some jewelry. Yeah. But he did lose his number one receiver. So if Jalen Hurts is that dude, the Eagles' offense should not take a significant step back, and it needs to start taking steps forward because you want to see some progression. Jalen Hurts is still a young quarterback. You don't want to see him regress. You want to see him improve his passing, become more of a pocket passer. We've seen Philadelphia, even in their Super Bowl winning season. Yes, it's Saquon, and then, yes, Jalen Hurts can make these timely plays, sometimes throw deep, or A.J. Brown is breaking open, or a Devontae Smith, but we need to see more like precision passing, more passing where you're throwing players open. If Jalen Hurts can develop more as a passer, I'm not saying he needs to be Matthew Stafford or Joe Burrow or such, but he just needs to improve a little bit to complement that running game.
That, man, it's going to be interesting. It really will. I mean, this is still, only June, right? We haven't even got to training camp yet, and so it's going to be so exciting and fun to see how all these storylines that we've been talking about, how they kind of develop and get ready for the upcoming season. Well, fantastic stuff, man. You got us ready for the upcoming weekend. What are you working on, my man, that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I just went to Rams all-season program, and I was at Chargers mini camp, so I have some stories coming from them. And also before training camp, I'll have the biggest storylines for each team entering training camp, and that will drop in July as well. So nice. I'm looking forward to those stories.
That's what you call a tease in the business, man. Fantastic stuff as always. Enjoy your weekend. We definitely appreciate you, and we'll be talking soon.
All right. Talk to you later. Have a good one.
Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports with us here at Raider Nation Radio 920. Really good stuff from him, man. This show is just continuing to fly by, and that's because of your great feedback and, of course, all the great guests that we have from Vinny to Dave to Tyler. And, of course, we'll hear from you. Not to mention, I don't want to be overshadowed, Ari has winning on the way. Ari's looking around like he thought I was about to spring something on him. Go ahead, man.
You can never be overshadowed. How's that? But I do have a great prize. Battle for Vegas. Got a pair of tickets for that on the 27th, the annual charity softball game between Riley Smith's the VGK team, and then Brock Bowers' Raiders team, who I'm all in on. Proceeds benefit local charities. Tickets available at Ticketmaster or caller 9 right now with me, 702-365-9200.
Boom, there you go. Ari's got winning on the way for you, and because it's Aloha Friday. It's the last show before I go on vacation. Yeah. We got to flush it one more time, right? You can't leave the crib without flushing, right? The last man out, make sure you flush. We do it next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
Yeah, I hit it 2 times out of bounds on the right, 2 bad swings, and then got pretty frustrated, and I'm not someone that, like to be on that behavior. I'm the first one to judge myself when I don't behave on the golf course, and I misbehave from my part. I felt like we're a little bit extra penalized with 2-shot penalty, but I think it is what it is.
It's time to flush it. Brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing.
Shout out to all the fine folks there at Moonlight Plumbing. MoonlightPlumbing.Vegas. You can check them out. No problem is too big or too small for Moonlight. Their services range from residential leaky faucet repair and water heater replacement to commercial plumbing system installs and full remodels. You can give them a call. You can hit them up at 702-355-3938. But I always say the easiest way to get a hold of them, get more information on them, is MoonlightPlumbing.Vegas, and they do bring to you this flushing that we've got to do. It's only right? It's Father's Day weekend. It's the last show, last 30 minutes of the show before I go on vacation. We got to get at least one more good flush in here on Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920, and we're going to do that right now. As you heard coming in, the sound of Chile's Joaquin Niemann, part of the U.S. Open, and that's where this flushing is going to come. And you kind of heard his issues that he has. So we're going to bring Joaquin Niemann to the front of the congregation, as I like to do. And remember, anyone and everyone can get a flushing. And what did he do to deserve this flushing? Well, he drove 2 balls out of bounds on the par 4-6, his 15th hole of the round on Thursday, shortly before the first round play at the U.S. Open was suspended because of darkness at Shinnecock Hills Golf Club. So it would get worse, right? It's already bad enough that he drove 2 balls out of bounds, but it got worse for the Live Golf League captain once play resumed on Friday morning. He ended up carding a bogey 9 on the hole, but it was later changed to a 7 over 11 after the U.S. Golf Association docked him a 2-stroke penalty for throwing his club on the hole. So you're probably saying, wait a minute, hold on. He threw the club on the hole. What do you mean? Yeah, follow me, rock with me here. On Thursday night, Neiman threw his club after his approach. I always love a good temper tantrum, right? It was his sixth shot on the hole, came up short of the green while he was trying to finish, and a U.S. Open volunteer witnessed the exchange, told The Athletic that Neiman asked the USGA rules official for relief from fire ants that were near his ball. So picture this. Fire ants around his ball. He's already having a bad day. He done thrown his club already. He's already frustrated. And when Neiman was denied, he kicked the flag that was been marking the ball in the high native grass and threw his club at least 50 yards. So right now you're already picturing this dude on the golf green, just losing his mind, throwing a temper tantrum. Again, as much as I'm flushing it because it was bad on his part, I'm also kind of laughing with him and saying, man, I sure wish I was there to see this, what was that, Happy Gilmore type of situation? Like, this is all I'm picturing. As I'm reading this and I'm listening, all I'm thinking of is Adam Sandler losing his forever loving mind on the golf course because he can't get it right. And I realize, as a guy who's terrible at golf, I could actually picture myself in this situation. I didn't throw my club, but I did one time when I teed off. I hit it so bad it hit a tree that was right next to us and bounced right back, and it hit my partner Ward. It was hilarious, and I was rolling. I didn't get mad. I started laughing my tail off because I know I can't golf, so it was actually kind of funny. He said, stop trying to hit the ball like you're trying to hit it to left field because that's what I do. I hit that thing like I'm hitting it to left field, and I'm terrible. Golf it could be a frustrating sport. But this guy's a pro. I'm not a pro, right? I'm not even a Joe. I'm just a guy who shows up every once in a while, right? And so it was hilarious to hear about this guy kicking a flag, throwing his club, got fire ants around his ball, like everything goes wrong, went wrong. But this is where it gets real fun. The USGA said that Neiman's act was determined to be serious misconduct under Rule 1.2b of the Rules of Golf, which dictates that, and I quote, players are expected to play in the spirit of the game by acting with integrity, showing consideration to others, and taking good care of the course. Unquote, right? The rule allows tournament committees to establish and enforce specific standards of player behavior on the course, utilizing penalty ranges from a single stroke to total disqualification, depending on the severity of the misconduct. So as much as, I had to flush Joaquin Neiman of Chile, his behavior on the course, he is ranked 80th in the official world golf ranking. He's the first golfer to be disciplined under the code of conduct policy in a major this season. So I really, as much as I want to flush him, and I kind of got to flush the rule too. The rule, look, the guy's having fun. He's already having a bad day. You got to hit him with a couple stroke penalty. He's already doing bad. Now I got to give him credit though. He did rebound and did pretty well. After that, he's still trying to make his mark. I think he was right there on the cut line last I checked. So, again, shout out to Joaquin Neiman. At least he provided us with some comedy. But apparently the USGA was not too big of fans. They were definitely not laughing at his shenanigans and his antics that he had on the golf course. So had to flush that and had to flush those rules because, man, at least he made me laugh at the very end of the day. That was brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing, and from sun up till moonlight, affordable, dependable plumbing professionals serving Las Vegas since 2016. They mean business. Again, no problem is too big or small for Moonlight. Services range from residential leaky faucet repair, water heater replacement, to commercial plumbing installs and full remodels. Small but mighty, they're veteran-owned and operated. Company handles jobs big and small. Everything that you can imagine, they do. Check them out, moonlightplumbing.vegas. That's moonlightplumbing.vegas.
Flush It is brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing. Affordable, dependable plumbing professionals serving Las Vegas since 2016. We mean business.
They mean business, and so do we. We shout out to Moonlight Plumbing, and I said it many times. I'm going to say it many more times. Boy, the football season's going to be fun with that segment, ain't it? Boy, oh boy. As Ari's already laughing, just thinking of how many different performances will get flushed throughout the course of the regular season. Hopefully, it's a lot of teams around the league and not the silver and black. But, as I said so many times, anyone can get it. Nobody is exempt from getting flushed if they had a bad performance. Can you imagine how many times I would have had to flush Gino last year?
I was just about to say I love this segment and I love Moonlight Plumbing, but I am really glad we didn't have this last year because it would have been every day Raiders,
Hey,
Raiders,
man.
Gino.
Hey, man, hey, if you stink it up, man,
All
you
right.
got to get it. You got to get it, right? You throw an interception on the first pass of the game.
Man,
I mean, exactly. So sometimes,
double digits.
hey, man, you've had those moments, right, where you're sitting there and you realize I got to flush, and you flush, and then you realize, well, that didn't all go down. Got to do it again. Sometimes you just got to, hey, man, it is what. Look, the thing is, all of us have gone through it. Nobody has been exempt. Hell, I flushed myself on the first day.
Right. Way to lead by example.
So, I mean, look, if I can catch it, and it's my show, you would think there's certain folks that would be like, no, I ain't flushing myself. I can't do no wrong. But, hey, man, look, we all can catch it.
I know something's going to happen in the next several on my end. I know I'm going to do something.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely going to catch it. There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
I'm ready. I'm going to be pressing the button, so I'll be ready.
You know what's going to be worse is the day that I get called into the office and Natalie's going to be like, now, Q, I'm going to need you to sit on down. You ain't got to come to the front of the congregation, but as you would do on the show, you would flush that performance. I'm going to have to say that I'm going to have to flush your email exchange that you had with so-and-so, so-and-so, or something, right?
Right. In fact, that's a double one, Q. Don't ever do that again. Yeah.
Right. She'll be like, you know what? You didn't get it all that time. Let's go ahead and flush it one more time.
Yeah,
So
gave them
and
all
I know
the
it's going to
inspiration.
come back on me. It's going to come back on me, but it's okay.
It's good.
I don't mind.
Keep
We
each
do
other
have a
in
bunch
check,
of
yeah.
Exactly. We do have a bunch of texts that I want to get to real quick at 702-365-9200, like this one from Sir Whiskey Ray. What's up, Q and Ari? Happy Friday and happy Father's Day. I can't forget the great stepdads out there too. Not sure what today's topic is, but just want to say what's up. Have a great upcoming vacation, Q. You deserve it. Did you catch last night's Mexico game? Caught the game last night at Thrive Center, home of the Dubs. Fantastic atmosphere, and the Latino love was in full force. Speaking of Latino love, I'm doing it, Q. Tonight I'm going to go watch Shakira in San Jose. I missed her last time, but not again. Wish me luck, as I'm hoping she'll see me. LOL. Thanks as always. Cheers, Sir Whiskey Ray. First of all, Sir Whiskey Ray is always living his best life. So shout out to him. He's always going somewhere. I do remember last time he had an opportunity to go see Shakira, and he chose not to go. So I'm glad that you're going ahead and making that, making that trip and get to see her, and that's going to be really cool. Obviously, she's a hell of a performer, so have a really good time. And yeah, I did see that Mexico game. They played South Korea last night and got the 1-0 zip. So or the 1-0 victory, I should say, one zip victory, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they got that dub. So yeah. That's cool. The World Cup always gets everyone excited. I want to say that was the last match of the night. I think that was the one that we were covering late night last night on Game Night on ESPN Radio. So, yeah, man, and saw the USA get the dub earlier today. So, shout out to Team USA. They got that win over Australia. My guy Cam, I was thinking about Cam while we were watching the match just because, I know he's representing in a major way. So, shout out to my guy Cam as well, and that's cool. I've seen a lot of people chime in talking about different locations that they've been at to be able to see these soccer matches. Like Vinny chimed in earlier in the show and said that he dropped his son off Noah to go watch the USA match. So that's really cool as well. So thanks so much for that text. Have a good time. We do appreciate you. Enjoy Father's Day weekend as well. Hot Sauce Raider hit us on the Aloha Friday on the text line. Q. Everyone and their mama wants Mendoza to start, but if Cousins starts off 2-0 and Genty and Bowers each have 3 touchdowns over the first 2 games, there ain't no way Cousins is coming off the field. Fernando's going to have to win that starting job coming out of camp. Happy Juneteenth, Nation. Go Raiders. That's Hot Sauce Raider. And look, that's what I've been saying as far as if Cousins comes out the gates and he's playing and they're winning and they're playing well, I don't mind not seeing Fernando. But when we had Dave Bartoo on, he did bring up a lot of good points about what he did and all the heavy lifting that he did, the bags he carried on Saturday, his words, not mine, and he can carry those bags on Sunday. And you drafted him number 1, so he has estimated on his analytical projections, and it was really good stuff. I do encourage you, if you missed that interview, to go back to lvsportsnetwork.com a little after the show and hear it. It was really some great stuff. He's thinking 13.5 starts for Fernando Mendoza, and I believe he said playing 14.5 games. So there you go. So he's looking at maybe 3 games he doesn't get to start, maybe 4, worst case scenario, and then it's full throttle Fernando Mendoza the rest of the way. But yeah, I mean, like, it's a good problem that the Raiders have, right? If Kirk Cousins comes out the gate and he's playing really well and the Raiders are winning, cool. right? Oh, no, don't know when to play Fernando. Okay, well, they're winning games. Cool. Who cares? I'd love to see a bunch of wins for the Silver and Black. So really good text, man. Thanks for that. Appreciate you. Let's see. What else do we get? We got a bunch of good texts. We got this one from this is Raider Greg. Q, the fact that my boy Mike had a helmet smashed in front of him by his new dad with a sledgehammer when he was 4. Yikes! It explains a lot. LOL. My boy Mike. Raiders. Peace, Q. That's from Raider Greg. I like that. That's good stuff as well. Keep that feedback coming, man. 702-365-9200. We've got one more final little, moments for you to get your feedback in, chime in on the show on anything that we've been talking about, the subject that matter hand, or whatever's on your mind. How did your father fuel your Raiders fandom or sports fandom? How did you influence your kids, or how are you influencing your kids to this point? And if you watched the Behind the Shield episode 1, which was really good, what rookie did get you most fired up about and why? Fernando Mendoza, Trayden Stukes, or Keyron Crawford, those are the 3 that they really focused in on and kind of took you behind the scenes. So let us know your thoughts. Like I said, we'll close out the show. We'll hear from you on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippies. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
It is Aloha Friday. Aloha Friday is going to be coming to a close in a matter of a few minutes. We've been having a lot of fun on today's show, Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. Ari in the Lotus Broadcasting Studios holding it down. I'm here in Studio Q, and we got a lot to get to in only a couple minutes, so we're going to try to hustle up and make it happen. So we were talking about Behind the Shield, episode 1. We were talking about the rookies that got you fired up just by seeing the behind the scenes when they're at the scouting combine. Mendoza, Stukes, Crawford, Stukes, Mendoza, whatever you want to bring to the table, however you want to word it. Those were the guys that are really featured. So my man Ari got on the wheels of steel. He started scratching and cutting and scratching, right? He was doing it like the old school DJs did it with headphones. You had to have a headset on. You couldn't have just, looked at the computer and lined up the colors, right? He was really making it work, but he got a little bit of sound from each one of those rookies, and we thought we'd present it as we close things out. Go ahead, Ari.
It was more so I started my senior year of high school, had one progression right there, and then transferred to Arkansas State, more smaller division. It was more so just trying to get my feet wet at Arkansas State, trying to see what it was, trying to see just the game of football, trying to get soak in as much as I can.
There's guys that have been playing for a long time. There's guys that have significant experience at this level, and I will be a sponge to those type of people. I'm not going to pretend I know anything more than anyone. I'll be, in everybody's ear asking questions, trying to get as much knowledge about, what it takes to succeed at this level from people that have done it and lived it, and, coaches that have seen it. So I think I'll mesh really well. I'm an easy guy to get along with. I'm not gonna do a whole lot of barking or anything. I'm just gonna go about my process how I always have, and earn the respect of the guys in the room that way.
I didn't have social media this season, so the media painted a picture about me that was maybe a little different than my true personality, especially at the Ohio State game after I said, flipping instead of. And at that point, it was like, okay, he doesn't curse, he's like good at two-shoe, and I didn't know, my whole thing is you gotta communicate. You gotta communicate with your teammates, communicate with your coaches. So let me get really good at speaking. I've always, taken speech classes. I've always looked on YouTube videos how to communicate, how to be a better leader. I'm a huge reader as well. So with that, it's developed senses where people are like, oh, this guy's ChatGPT. But whenever you ask any of my team, I'm sure, I don't want to speak for them, but I've been able to connect with my teammates really, really well, and not like a ChatGPT scenario.
So there was Keyron Crawford, Trayden Stukes, and Fernando Mendoza in that order right there. Just a little bit of what they had to say on Behind the Shield. And, again, if you didn't get to actually check out the episode, I encourage you to do it. It was 30 minutes long, 30 minutes strong, but really, really good stuff. Starting, really when the season got wrapped up last year, and it just kind of took you through the offseason so far, right? And it wasn't even full throttle the whole thing. Like I said, it was only 30 minutes long, but, man, it really – kind of took you into the scouting combine and the speed dating that they call it, where it's like 18 minutes you get with those prospects, those ones you heard right there. It also got to see when Clint Kubiak arrived at the Raider facility, and when he won the Super Bowl and he was being interviewed. So are you going to take the job in Vegas? I'm going to Vegas. You're damn right I'm going to Vegas. Like all that, it was – I thought it was really well put together. Like I said earlier in the show, as soon as I got up this morning because it was late when I was watching it, I shot a text over to Marcus over at the Raiders. Was like, hey, man, great job by you and your team. That was a really well put together piece, and I know they take a lot of pride in that. And so hopefully you enjoyed it. And that was just episode 1. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like the rest of the way after that if that was just the taste test of it. So some really good stuff for sure. Let's see. Big John hit us up, said, hey, Q, how about this? Any game they were up by 4 or more points at the end of the third quarter, let Mendoza finish it. That's John on the text line. You might want to be up by more than 4 points. You might want to be up by like a touchdown, maybe even 10 points before you let him come in there. But I do think that there's opportunities, to your point, I do think there's opportunities for that to be the case where he comes in and I don't want to say mop-up duty, but just kind of let it wrap up and let him wrap things up. So you could be onto something, but I don't think that they're going to be up by 4 points at the end of 3 and then decide, all right, Mendoza, it's your time, because that's a little bit too close. But, trust and believe if there's any blowouts, the Raiders happen to be on the right side of some blowouts, that'll happen. And, he'll be in the game for sure. So that's going to do it for the show. That's going to do it for the week. I'm going to take off for vacation, so we'll be back on this show on July 6th at 2 o'clock. But make sure you tune in to the morning tailgate, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Of course, tune in to JT the Brig, noon to 2 on RaiderNation Radio 920. Have a great weekend.